Welcome to Me and Virgil, a Genesis Brothers podcast.
Cue.
Well, me and Virgil, we beat the desert, we're riding fast and riding hard. We hit the city, the past behind us, so we raised some hell, we had some fun, washing dishes and making coffee.
We didn't do our clap it if we needed to. Do you need that?
That's fine. Don't worry.
You need to do it when you got 20 people, but not when there's two of us. Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Alex C. Taylor, aka Virgil, and with me is my inimitable brother. How you doing, Dan?
I'm good. This is AKA me, folks. Great to be back. It's been a while since we've had one of these episodes going on, these official lengthy episodes. And before we proceed,
Christmas has a way of doing that to you.
Yes,
And New Year's stuff, get back into the real, routine.
Exactly. And to clear a few things up, I've been moving more than once, various times between the end of last year and even the beginning of this year as well. And so now, if my voice sounds a little bit echoey, this is my first time recording in a new location in our place here. We've got a nice place.
You are no longer the born in Berlin.
No.
Well, born in Malaga, where you actually were born.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually not officially. I'm not in the province of Malaga anymore. I'm now in the province of Granada, as they would say. Those you folks are Granada. We've got a nice place here, right by the water here, over the Bay Area. But I'm in the
nice view of the Alhambra.
We got a very nice view of a beautiful port here and the ocean, so it's gorgeous. And now we're in the master bedroom. Sadly, I couldn't record in our wardrobes because they don't have any doors. So we're just in the corner here. So hopefully I sound clear enough. I sound comprehensible enough. That's the word. So anyway,
that's with what you're going to say. It depends what you're going to say.
Yes.
Audibly, you sound fine. Whether what you're going to say we agree with is another matter. But anyway, we're talking today about Peter Gabriel's new album because he released a new album.
Hi there.
After 21 years from the last one.
Well, here we are.
When you're kind of used to a little bit with Peter, that he takes a while in between albums, and the older he gets, the longer he takes in between albums. But this one, apparently, I was reading on the wiki, is the record for longest gap.
Yes, and what's the album called?
IO.
IO.
Coming up, I'm going in. I'm just a part of everything.
IO.
Which I had to look up because it didn't really mean much to me. So I looked it up. Do you know, Dan, what it ties in with? Well, if you've read the show notes, you probably do.
I actually in and out, or inside and out, stuff coming out, stuff going in.
And it specifically ties into a computer term for input output too.
Yes.
All very like how it ties into humans and also just living creatures on this planet. We're all stuff coming in, stuff going out.
And yet we're all just a part of everything. We're all connected. So.
But we'll get to that.
Yes.
I wanted to talk a little bit first about, because I did look up this the wiki on it and did a little bit of research on it, and it was interesting. I'm just going to read off here what I found. So apparently IO has been in the works for nearly 3 decades. 27 years and 8 months, it says. It initially began production in April 95.
Yeah.
When and that's about the same time PG started recording Up, apparently. He intended to release this in 2004. Spoiler alert. Didn't happen. Wait 21 years, mate.
that actually makes me think of a note I'll bring up later on. So to do with that.
Oh, good. Right. The album was repeatedly delayed, reworked, re-recorded. Apparently, I liked this. And during his I can't remember what the tour was called, the one he did with Sting, where they did each other's material and sung their own songs and stuff. He apparently performed the entire album on a sound check, which sounds pretty amazing. And I wonder
Really?
if someone has that recorded somewhere. Yeah, back in 2016.
That's that's the Rock Paper Scissors tour.
Mm-hmm.
Sting.
1, 2, 3. Oh!
He did the entire album in soundcheck.
Well, according to the wiki, but it's wiki, you know. So.
Yeah. Well, that's got to be true, though, right? Surely. Okay. Really?
Well, and I'm
Ooh.
sure they're all in like slightly different versions of songs and stuff too. But anyway, it wasn't until December 22 that we got, well, that it was officially started to release. Well, he got it finished basically to be released.
Right.
And then, how did it get released, Dan? I mean, we just got an album, right, at the beginning of the year, and we got to enjoy the whole album, and
yes,
that's it, yeah.
No, he did probably the best marketing strategy any affiliate marketer or online marketer would be being like, that's amazing. Any music marketer out there would have thought. Basically, he released one new song from the album per month, beginning with January, and very appropriately released a song every single month for the entire year of 2023. Resulting in there being 12 new singles released from good old PG. So 2023, for us Peter Gabriel fans and Genesis fans, was a pretty darn good year because it was just non-stop new material from PG.
What I liked about it, it was really cool. I thought that he released it specifically on the new moon.
Yes.
Was it the whole full? No, the full moon. Sorry, the full moon. He was specifically released it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is another thing as well. The great example of Peter Gabriel, where the man takes this long to create a new album, and yet it seemed like almost as if he still couldn't decide what to do, where in terms of what type of mix he should release this for. So the full moon came out, the bright side mix, and then I guess a couple of weeks later for the what was it, the blue moon he called it, or something.
So that was the new moon, basically.
The new moon, yes, the new moon, yes. He then released the dark side mix. And I think that trend carried on then. Oh, and plus, then as an extra bonus, Peter Gabriel himself released a little introductory video.
Yes,
explaining about how the songs worked. What the stories behind the songs was, and that's the next best thing as well. He released these songs just everywhere. Just
that was what I thought was so cool about this. Is like, we didn't really know if there was going to be an album. We assumed there was going to be an album at the end of the year. But I liked commentary from Tabletop Genesis, because they covered each song as it came out throughout the year last year. And I think it was Tom just lately saying, at this point in his life, he doesn't really care. He's rich enough. He can do whatever the hell he wants. If he's going to release an album, he'll release an album. But we're not sure, and he doesn't have to. He's just releasing these songs completely for free for everyone to enjoy.
That was the cool thing. It was completely for free. You can just grab it absolutely anywhere. And
everywhere, yep.
And I just thought, and he's just like, I just want people to know about this and share my music. And it's my new music, and for you guys, and he has released bits and bobs here and there over the past 3 decades, but never this much, never this in this context either. And so it's no surprise really that when the album did finally come out, I think maybe it was not even a week later or something like that, it was number 1. And
well, in the UK, not everywhere, but yeah,
not everywhere, but it hit number 1 in the UK. And the next thing he comes up with a video, and he's got a big number 1 plaque holding it there.
It was 37 years ago that So was top album, and I never expected to be here again. But I've just been given this and told that we are number 1 with IO. So it's amazing.
But that's the interesting thing. Like if someone like Phil had done that, I think people would have, just because of the Phil mania that existed in the 80s.
Like,
people would have just got so sick of it. He would have got so sick of it.
Put it this way, it would have been good that they've turned off negative comments on YouTube.
Exactly. And I love this as well, that actually I just jumped on Wikipedia because I had to quickly go over a part in my head, but because of course, like, here's the singles from the IO, and I was like, my God, there's a lot of singles, but I just realized, of course, it's all 12 singles were released.
They're strangely in order of the album.
They're strangely in order of the album as well, which we'll come to that as well, actually, about that. Yeah, so I thought it was, I know that some people have their says about it. I actually just listened to the Tabletop Genesis episode of them actually covering the album, and they had their guest speaker, who's his name I forget. I know his name is David something, but I forget his name. Apologies to that man.
David Priest.
Yes, I think so. And how they asked like what they thought about this idea, and he wasn't a fan of it. And because of course you get the album and you want to feel the impact of lying there or sitting there, however
Yeah.
you do, however you listen to an album, and you think, oh, this is all brand new material now to me. And I have to say, when I did finally see the running order of the album, there was a split personality inside of me going like, brilliant. It's in exact order of how we released the songs. And at the same time, I was thinking like, oh, well, would have been nice to see it in a slightly different order. But then I couldn't think of another way to begin the album than Panopticon, so.
Yeah, but we'll get to that. I'll have my comments about how it was released and all this stuff when we talk a bit about the tour at the end.
Yes.
That ties in more with that. I mean, it was also one of those things where we kept wondering, is this the order of the album? Is it something else? Or are all these songs going to be on the... I mean, and again, Tabletop was talking about this too, where it's like we had this these two mixes. There was also a third mix, the inside mix, which I think you could get if you subscribed on SoundCloud to a special thing where you would think you would get that mix. And then we were also wondering, well, with all these choices, what's going to be on the album? Is there going to be another PG mix or something? It was all this speculation that we had all year just because we didn't know until
the PG official mix. Yes.
But I mean, I think it speaks to Peter Gabriel just how open he still is to all this stuff. I mean, you'd expect a guy who's been going for 50 odd years of music that he had it set how he wants and would just keep it like that. But he's always, I mean, that's everything is Peter Gabriel. It's always been, he's experimenting and trying new things and had all these, this entire, I mean, if you watch some of the footage on YouTube of him doing as they're doing stuff in the studio, and you'll see tons of people and half of them aren't playing instruments. They're just sitting there doing stuff on computers. And it's because it's all these different mixes and engineers and all this stuff. And I mean, I think of it's almost like when I'm writing a first draft of something, I'll throw everything in there. There's going to be too many words guaranteed, but everything is in there. And then when you start editing, you take it all out and you hone it down to be the size piece of work you want. But it feels like here, because he had all these options, it was really cool that he just feel like, okay, well, here, everyone gets to enjoy all these mixes and you make up your own mind of what you prefer and what you enjoy and stuff,
Which we will also be addressing, yes. I have lots of opinions about that.
All right, shall we dive in to the songs?
We shall, yeah. I think just right before we begin, I mean, we're going to talk about this anyway, but just as a general feel, what's your take on this album as a whole?
I really like it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, yeah, I feel that way too. I mean, it's very different from the album Up that we got 21 odd years ago. Now, fair enough, that album... he wanted that particular album. I remember again, Tabletop mentioned this, saying how the other album was quite different, a bit darker and slightly more on the
downer kind of
minor side.
Yeah.
But no surprise considering that his theme for that album, because many albums in the past, he's always approached it as a theme. And he says, this album's about this theme and this theme and this theme. I can't go into specifics right now, but one theme he said he had never touched on was death. And that's the album is about that. You have songs like I Grieve. Prime example of that, you see. So that song is about death. And now,
I didn't know about that. That makes a lot of sense, though.
Fair enough. It came out like 2002, and of course, that's only just months after 9/11 had occurred. So I think this was kind of going through his mind amongst many other people as well. You see, so it's nice that I mean, I still big fan of that album Up. I mean, again, it was his first release in 10 years, so I was excited at the time because of that. And of course, he was approaching the latest technology at the time, and very produced album. I know we're not talking about that album. We're talking about I.O. And
I mean,
I.O. is very different.
I've listened to this a lot in various versions, especially once I got the album. And I was talking about each song kind of as they came out too, and just listened to a lot too. And this has definitely gone up there. I can't decide if it's actually tied with my favorite with Us, or if possibly this might be my favorite PG album. I'm not sure. Just because, but maybe we'll talk about that more after we get through.
We will.
Stuff.
We'll approach it now.
But if I was going to say, well, since we're covering the kind of a general thing on the album, how would you sum up this album as a theme then?
I think this album is more to do with like, I'm now looking back on life And I think the theme of this album is reflecting. It's all about reflecting. There are so many songs in this album that lyrically really got to me. And I'm a man who's never really paid attention to lyrics much. I could listen to the same lyrics for 20 years and never really get it until year 21. Yeah. But to me, a lot of these lyrics instantly hit me. And it's like, okay, this is a guy who certainly has experienced life. And now he's definitely reaching the last quarter of his life, let's say, and put it bluntly like this. And so he is now looking back. And I mean, at the same time, he's approaching the technology of life, and which we're going to approach very shortly with the song Panopticon. And so he's, of course, approaching that and the impact that it's having on our lives. So I think it's just really to do with reflection, impact, how everything in life is making you feel. That's the vibe.
But I'd say it's reflecting, but not in a regretful way in any way.
No,
I think it's more super positive of just like, this is it. This is who we are. This is what we do on this planet. This is how we live. Hey, we're like everything else. Every living creature on this planet, we're all pretty much the same. Yeah. And let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy these moments and, savor all the little minutiae and go out with a bang.
There you go. I
was thinking, especially like if you imagine, well, he couldn't have released this album any earlier in his career because he had to be. It feels like he has to be at this point of the songs he did and how the lyrics he wrote and stuff. But like, imagine listening to this back in when did Up come out? 2002. Yeah, like I don't think these songs would have resonated in such a way with us if we'd been 21 years younger.
No, exactly. It's a reflection upon us as well. It is true.
Life to that level and stuff. We're
also 20 years older now.
You kind of need to be old to listen to this album and appreciate it in some ways.
Absolutely. I mean, I listened to Up when I was still a drum student in a music school, still in swinging London, when I was like broke and didn't know what to do, and enjoying life and drinking pints of beers and just go, it's a Peter Gabriel album, and everything. And since then, it's like I've moved countries various times, and we're all fathers now. We're married and everything, and we've definitely gone through a new, different phase in our lives. We've lived, and that's just what this album is about. So anyway, I'm sure we'll reflect more upon this now through each individual song. So how about we
kick it
proceed
off with Panopticon?
To say that as soon as this kicked in, I thought, okay, because you always have these people where they say, oh, this is the new Genesis song, oh, this is the new Phil Collins song, this is the new Peter Gabriel song. But honestly, no, I thought it helped that saying like, I'm about to hear a new Peter Gabriel song. But as soon as that little riff kicked in, it's just like, yep, that's certainly Peter Gabriel. He's back. He is certainly back. It's very, very fantastic. It was a fantastic first single, which of course made it a fantastic album opener. Could not think of another song to really kick off the album with.
Perfect album opener. It's just,
yeah.
I mean, we didn't really know at the time because all we had was the one song coming out, and we thought it was pretty good. We had no idea what else we were going to get, so we didn't know whether to love this one because everything else wasn't going to be as good, or or if this wasn't as good and everything else was going to be better. But it was for the album. It's just perfect.
Yeah. It's a great song, and and also from a music perspective, you can hear who's on the album, and you're like, oh, he's got his classic lineup, he's got the soul lineup again. So he's got obviously his longtime,
got his buddies
veterans.
back.
He's got David Rhodes, Tony, obviously, but good old Manu Katché is back on the stool as well, which I'm the biggest Manu Katché fan out there, being a drummer myself, and I loved his work he did with him on So. Unfortunately, I'm not that familiar with the actual personnel on the album. I mean, there's tons of personnel, I'm sure. Lots of them. And I know that famous producer Brian Eno is involved too. Again, got to check the listing about which song he's actually particularly involved in.
I think Road to Joy is the one that comes to mind.
Oh yes, that little
cool little
part.
keyboard. Do, 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 do.
That's right.
We'll get to that.
So yeah, Panopticon. What the heck is it about?
Oh, one more thing I wanted to talk about is going back to our good friend Manu. When that, I mean, it's particularly, this is in the Dark Side mix because the drumming is at different levels in various mixes for certain songs and stuff. On that Dark Side mix, when that drum comes in on Panopticon, I just explode. It is such a, if you got it on headphones really loud, it just like fills you, much like when the drums come in on No Son of Mine. We recently talked about that. I was saying I didn't think I was ever going to have a drum start that well like No Son of Mine, but Panopticon does it for me. That comes in, I'm just like, oh my god, that's good.
Well, this is actually what I really enjoyed with this song kicking off, because if there's anything I have a little bit of a bone to pick with the album Up, is that Peter really was enjoying the technology to the point where, to me, the album is overproduced. It's way overproduced, and honestly, I can't tell which are on that album. I can't tell which are real drums and which are live drums. It's like Manu Katché's on it, Jed Lynch is on it, Steve Gadd's on it, and it's like, but I have no idea what they're doing. I have no idea. Yeah,
isn't Steve Gadd on this one technically though too?
Coming later on.
For later, yeah.
Little spoiler later on too. Yes. Yeah, and so when Manu kicked in, and I'm particularly talking about the Bright Side mix as well. When he comes in, it's like, oh, now you really hear the live drums. You really do hear the live drums in this one. I actually wanted to say, would you like to address like your opinions, like would you prefer the Dark Side or Bright Side mix? Would you like to do that, or shall we just leave that until the end?
I mean, we can talk more about it at the end, but I guess we can just say right now, I'm a Dark Side. I've gone over to the Dark Side and I stayed there. I'm hanging out with the Emperor and, Darth Vader.
Well, let me just jump in my notes here, because I kept writing notes for this. With this one, it's interesting because it's great to have the Manu rhythm with this and everything, but then you jump to the Dark Side mix, and I find instantly that I think generally for the Dark Side mix that you've got more depth, more bass, i.e. more Tony. More Tony is there. I tend to kind of I obviously know Tony's on the album, but
not Tony Banks, Tony Levin.
Sorry, Tony Levin, yes. And I actually wanted to echo a point that good old Mike Lord from Tabletop said, that with this album, and I thought it was really interesting the way he said that, you have the classic PG lineup on this album, but you don't really hear their character playing in this. Like, there's no amazing, crazy bass line happening from Tony and everything. But yet, when the Dark Side is there, I'm kind of reminded that, not that I'm reminded like, oh, Tony Levin's the bass player. It's like, oh, I can hear more of Tony now. And I really hear he is definitely more present with the dark side mix of this. And yeah, Manu's drums definitely sound more, I think they do sound a bit more programmed. They definitely are there more present, that's for sure. You can definitely hear what's going on. They definitely have more of a production.
I mean, they feel almost
them.
like, I don't know if it is that way, but they're a little louder than a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah,
compared to the broadside mix or the inside mix too, where stuff is a little more even, all the keyboard sounds or whatever are a little more even with the drums. Whereas I love just how the drums, like No Son of Mine, those drums just take over the song and become a character on it.
I mean, with Panopticon, with the song about that, it's sort of like that I think that if I'm correct in this matter, with Panopticon, the subject matter being that how everything is recorded, everything is captured, everything knows what we are doing, and we're fine with that. Apparently, we will happily
I feel
tell
that
people.
The qualifier is that doesn't mean everyone is always watching what we're doing. If we wanted to, that's fine. But the government isn't watching every single thing we're doing. Algorithms are recording everything we're doing, but they still need 1 billion people to be actually watching that if they want to be watching everything going on.
Yeah.
Because people always assume, like, if you're being recorded, oh, they're watching you right now. It's like, no, it's just being recorded by some machine. However, it is still being recorded, which is messed up.
It is. And I've definitely seen moments of these, and the whole theory about the major conspiracy theory that your phone microphone is being recorded, because you will say a word that you've not said in ages, and next thing you know, that is being advertised on your Facebook profile, on your Facebook page, or on Google, and it's like, I just said that today. What are you talking about?
I need some new jeans, and then Levi jeans everywhere.
Exactly. Cookies. Data cookies following you everywhere. So anyway, that's kind of what the song is about.
Chocolate chips in them.
And so I thought it was quite appropriate with the Dark Side Myth that there's definitely some more synthetic sounds going on here. And I thought, okay, well, synthesizers, technology, very appropriate for the song. The only little thing I'm missing from the song is that I love the that opening riff, but that plus I don't know who's on the acoustic. I don't think it's David Rose on the acoustic on this, but on the chorus, that beautiful acoustic. Cool, to me, it shines a lot more on the Bright Side mix. Of course, there's more lighter. So I like the production of the Dark Side mix. So if we can have that plus the lightness of the acoustics and that riff, the song's perfect.
We want that PG mix.
There you go. We want that PG mix to have it there. So yeah, I'm in between. I mean, I suppose though, to me, I really like the sound of how so acoustic-y Manu's drums sound on the Bright Side mix. So I'm afraid, like, if we were going to do the whole B-side bros as
we're hanging out with Luke, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm afraid I will be on Luke's side for the Panopticon for this one. Yes.
I mean, the other thing, though, one that bugs me a little bit that I know isn't in a Bright Side mix is like, as it I think it's leading into the chorus. No, it's at the end of the chorus when it has the drum fill bit and then comes back in. On the Dark Side, there's like an extra electronic sound around it too, whereas the Bright Side doesn't have it. It just has the plain drums, which are nice.
Exactly.
The drums aren't as loud as I want them to be, basically, on the Bright Side is my...
Yeah, and I think that works really well in the song as well. So if anything, I am missing that whole synthetic sound on the Bright Side mix. It works really well for the Dark Side. It's just the light acoustic stuff. To me, it sounds clearer and much more impactful with the Bright Side mix. So there you go.
But it's a dark song, so you need to be hearing the dark stuff.
Yeah, overall it's great. Again, we talked about this with the PG tour review, how at the time when I saw Peter Gabriel on this tour, I actually saw him in Berlin, and he played the song Panopticon, and of course he did the famous lyric saying it was in Berlin. All the evidence was found. All the evidence was found. However, as far as I knew, he spoke in German, and as far as I can tell, he didn't mention anything about that particular lyric. And yeah, he put his hand up saying it was in Berlin, but nothing happened. No audience reacted or anything.
Well, and then the other problem too is this was in, when was this? May
last year. Yeah,
right.
So.
I mean, yes, the song had been out for a while, but I mean, this is part of our stuff with later where maybe not everyone knew the song because there was no album.
There you go. It was still great to
now, how were you able to see all the screens pretty clearly and everything?
Yeah, I had a great view of the screens.
Okay, good, because it was so cool. I thought. I mean, the all the screen stuff going on is like camera work on the various guys, like they're being recorded as they're playing the song.
There you go.
And then that big center screen, when it becomes this giant eye, like the eye of Sauron, but better because it's a full like proper eye, and it follows Peter as he's walking across the stage, and everything. It's just like this is mind blowing, but also so poignant, and makes the meaning of the song hit that much harder because we're all being watched.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. And that's well, I mean, hey, you want to be grateful to have your phone around with you and everything. Well, and be connected to the internet. Well, then that's the not the consequence. What's the word I'm looking for here? But that's basically what you have to deal with in life. That you are going to be tagged and followed around by cookies and data and everything, because everyone just wants to give you something, sell you something, wants to find out what you do.
So I realized for the name of the song, which I actually realized I wrote wrong in my notes here, is panopticon with an M at the end. So the panopticon with an N at the end is I think it was like a 19th century, maybe a little earlier, form of imprisonment that was done. It was used in sci-fi stuff, and it's specifically set up so you have like basically a ring of cells, and then the god sits in the middle in a thing and has a window on every cell, and the idea being they're watching you all the time, which again ties in with the whole this thing. Again, they're not watching you all the time because there's one god in there and he can't look at 24 windows at the same time. Right. But the point is, you're under the pressure and the stress and the torture of not knowing if he's watching you or not, but he could be, and so there you go. But again, he changed it to com, I think, almost to like computer technology type of thing. And so again, Peter Gabriel putting his little spin on it in that wonderful way.
Great song, top marks, great album opener, and I mean both mixes are great as well. So. All right,
moving on then to, are we ready to join the court?
So I remember very specifically when I heard this for the first time that as soon as that kind of percussive part came in this funky dook 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 dook, and I was like, ooh, this is nice. I did have to say though that I was like, okay, kind of a similar tempo to Panopticon. And I thought, interesting. I mean, again, at the time, we didn't know that this was going to be actually track 2 on the album.
Right. That was I do remember that way back in February when I first listened to this and being like, oh, cool, next song. I was like, this is a little samey.
Yeah. And I can't for the life of me, even at the time when hearing it, I was like, that whole verse thing, get to wake up, to get to quick. It does remind me of old school Peter. Actually, in a way, where he is
like almost syncopating type of thing.
Yes, and he's singing in a low tone. I mean, he's generally doing that these days anyway. So with his age,
as close as he's come to rapping, basically, right?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it is almost rapping, but it did remind me of like the kind of the vocal that he used to do back in this kind of Games of Frontiers. I know that there is obviously a subject matter behind this song with the court and everything, and I think to do with like the whole, I think it's about the whole legal system and how ridiculous, to the point ridiculous and corrupted or whatever it can be, So the court will rise while the pillars all fall.
You say that the court will rise when the judge comes in to do the things while society's all crumbling around you and everything's gone to hell.
There you go. Yes, and it's quite interesting because the chorus never. it's almost like we all can presume that the chorus is the part where he says "and the court," because
Yeah.
it always stops, because almost
Right.
as if to say like, "All rise, judges in." It's like everyone shut.
Yep.
Court in
All
session.
quiet.
All quiet. And the court.
Yep.
All rise. Well, yeah, exactly as you put it, as while the pillars all fall. So, and that always is like that in the song. You can almost, even though there is a music video that got made, I think someone created an AI simulation video of this song, I believe. But yeah, you can always make your own little video where you see the judge walking in as that chorus kicks in. You see, so and yeah, it's a cool, funky song. I have to say, this was probably one of the weaker ones for me. However, when I was listening to it even today, both mixes, especially the Dark Side mix, I was like, this is a really cool, funky song. I really, really like this song.
I mean, we mentioned David Priest on the Tabletop episode. This was his favorite song off the album.
Yeah.
And I will say it does do interesting things musically.
Yes.
I was also thinking too, how many songs on this album start out with something unusual and different and then go in a different direction. Like, it's just like there's a weird intro to it and then the song changes tack, you know?
Yeah, and actually that intro, that's it. I was trying to remember why that intro reminded me of, and I believe the intro starts similar on both mixes.
Yeah.
It has this sort of like almost backwards sound. I was trying to think, what other song does that start with? A Peter Gabriel song? And it just now hit me. Sky Blue. Sky Blue starts up the same way with that.
Yep. Maybe just took it and used it.
He probably just recycled it. Yes.
I really do like, after they've done the chorus, whatever it is, 3 or 4 times and done all their bits, the kind of almost like fade out of groove thing where it just like jams down. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's and again, to me, on the Bright Side mix, and this is actually the one I'm going to say instantly that I prefer the Dark Side mix of this one, and because it's particularly that piano at on that outro part.
Yeah, nice deep
on the
chords,
it's weird. On the Bright Side mix, it almost sounds like, okay, here's a piano exercise now for you to do practice, right? But yeah, strangely enough, even though it's played exactly the same on the Dark Side, because of its mix, to me it stands out and it's more impactful, and to me it makes more sense the way that sounds on the Dark Side mix. And again, with the Dark Side,
importance of mixes.
There you go. And the drums are more distorted with this one, even though they got a lot of production on them on the Bright Side mix. But yeah, I definitely prefer the Dark Side mix with this one.
All right, should we move on to have some playing for time?
Indeed.
Far, far away, out amongst the stars, there's a planet spinning slowly. We call it ours. Anytime, any day, any moment that we bring to life will never fade away. Oh, the moments come and go, while the memories ebb and flow, and play again, play again. Oh, there's a hill that we must climb through all the mist of time. It's all in here, what we've been through.
Your piano's back right away.
Yeah, and as soon as I heard this one, I stopped dead in my tracks and just said, I gotta stop doing whatever I'm doing and just sit and enjoy. And I never actually got to attend his what's it called, the Back to Front anniversary tour, where he actually did demo this in front of a live audience. I just think, good old Peter, that he's not. He didn't even have lyrics. It was just and just with him
That's
and
right.
Tony Levin, just him and Tony, and so this song existed even way back then. This song is definitely a highlight for me on this album, and it's a great placement. Track 3, I was almost wondering like, oh, that's a bit too soon to take it down a lot, but actually no, it's. I think it's a great spot for it compared to the other ballads, if you want to call them that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful song. It's a stunning song, and I love it in particular that Peter says, because I just presume that was Peter playing on it, but he actually says, no, I'm not the good of a piano player. I had to get a real piano player in for this one. So again, sorry, the personnel, I do not know who it is. Again, it's lots of people on this album, so I don't know. Again, yes, I have to. I thought exactly the same thing here with Tom from Tabletop. You guys have mentioned a lot today. That it did remind him a lot of the arrangement of it was very Washing of the Water. However, for me personally, this is a much better song than Washing of the Water. Washing of the Water just is kind of shrugs along. Although the live version he did of the real world tour is fantastic, so it's a much better version.
I really like that song too, and again it crescendos.
Oh, plus you lucky devil, you actually got to see Peter open the whole show with that song last year.
Track 2, was it? I can't remember.
I thought it was the opening track.
2 or 3, yeah. Or was it the opening one? Maybe it was the opening one.
Because for me, the opening for me was
oh, that's right.
Here come die Flut. So, yeah, but because obviously it has that, and even though I was thinking we finally got to that last chorus. I think chorus number 3. What I was like, it'd be great right now if you just kicked him with a groove here, and it did.
And he said, like, "Hold my beer,"
and I said, and it did, and I did think like, okay, this is kind of Washing of the Water kind of thing. It's that kind of same arrangement, but to me, it was much more impactful. And again, lyrically, I really listened to the lyrics of this song, and again, playing for time. It is about how whatever we can do, we can't escape time, and it's going to be with us. And there's ways you can look about it. You can either treat time as your best friend or your worst enemy.
It's either running out quickly or you could savor each moment.
There you go. And so this was actually the first time I was actually listening to the lyrics of this song, probably because it's a bit slower. There was less instrumentation going on. And his voice comes through really wonderfully because it's just him and piano at the beginning of the song. Yeah. And I mean, and I love how
the bass comes in,
yeah, and I love how the piano is so live that they record it so raw that you can actually hear. You don't hear it actually going up and down, but you can actually hear the not the pedal, but almost like the action of the foot moving up and down for the pedal of the piano. That you can actually hear it taking place. That's how raw and live the piano is.
Yeah.
On the dark side, you hear it even more.
I was about to say, and on the inside, you hear it even more because of this weird surround effect. Yeah, it's almost like you're sitting next to whoever the piano player is while he's doing it. And
again, I love because Tony again comes out on the dark side. However, when the drums do kick in, I have to say, I think what did I say? I think, actually, no, I think it was this version that I prefer, the dark side. How the drums kind of come in and there's a bit more of a production and more of a, because there's again, the beautiful orchestration. I love the orchestration on this. You can just I would just
when that comes in, and I'm already sitting because I'm enjoying the song, and just when that comes in, I just goosebumps every time. I'm just like, it's like, I mean, it ties in with Washing the Water. It's like someone has poured a bucket of cold water over me.
But it's a beautiful bucket of water.
Yes, I'm enjoying it.
Every drop. Yeah.
I was just like, talking about time, it feels, again, comparing it to Washing the Water, because that song just kind of goes through for whatever it does, 4.5 minutes, something like that. Whereas this one takes a lot longer, and it feels like he's savoring every little moment and gives everything its time. Gives quiet spaces in between the verses and the chorus and things like that. And again, waiting that moment, and you're like, it gives you the chance to take a nice deep breath, and then bangs you with that crescendo.
Yeah, actually, that very. I think it kind of reminds me also with Roger Waters from Pink Floyd that he was always characterized as the person who was really good with time and giving the space, especially with tracks like for you Floyd fans, Shine On You Crazy Diamond, where he'd be like, the time to play that guitar part is
yeah.
now.
That's all about time. I was literally listening to that song the other day, studio version, and you're totally right. Yeah, because that's again one of my favorite songs. And again, it's so perfectly arranged and drawn out. It doesn't get rushed at any point.
No, and that's the thing. And this song, and again, and I guess that's probably also what Peter's saying is like, you can't rush time either. You just have to deal with each second as it comes. And if you rush, then you're going to miss things. If you're too slow, then you're also going to miss things. So you just got to treat it at each second as it comes. So sorry, but that's life, and that's how time, isn't it? So there you go. It depends on the kind of life you want to live. So yeah, beautiful song.
And I also feel that again, that crescendo and the everything and how he sings it, like only Peter Gabriel could do. I think they said this on Tabletop, but only Peter Gabriel could sing it that way and do it with that much power and moving. Like, you know, Phil couldn't do that. I don't think anyone else could. Just the way Peter sings it with such feeling and power in his heart that it's just like you're so moved by it. And like his voice is so perfect for the lyrics that again he chooses specific lyrics of how they sound, like the Valley of the Rock and all this stuff. Like it all comes out and hits you, you know.
Yeah, beautiful song. And
I think it's in our favorites. I think we'll talk about it later.
Definitely is in our favorites. And if I have permission, I have to talk about the transition, which of course segues very nicely into the next song because of the transition of it. So what is the next song then, dear Virgil, of this album?
It would be the album title, Io.
Io.
I'm just a part of everything. I stand on two legs and I learn to sing. It's not what was said and it's not what I heard. I walk with my dog and I whistle with the bird. Stuff coming out, stuff going in. I'm just a part of everything. Stuff coming out, stuff going in. I'm just a part of everything. So we think we really live apart, 'cause we got two legs, a brain and a heart. We all belong to everything, to the octopus suckers and the buzzard's wing, to the elephant's trunk and the buzzing bee's sting. Stuff coming out, stuff going in. I'm just a part of everything. I'm just a part of everything.
Yes, Io.
I love this song.
Yes, I mean, maybe at the time I didn't realize it, but actually listening to the album today reminded myself that the transition between Playing for Time and Io is perfect, because the album Playing for Time finishes with piano and Io starts with piano, and even tempo-wise it's quite similar, but because the songs are so different from each other, that's okay for me. And I think it's a phenomenal transition. And yes, the song is amazing. I was literally, I think by chorus number 2, I was jumping up and down by chorus 2, you know?
Yes, that just harkens back to the genius of Genesis, you know? I mean, their transitions are what made them so special, you know? So
there you go.
Still got it. PG still got it.
Yeah, it's a really uplifting track. And I suppose, again, we've gone from all the random tracks he's released over the years, up Album About Death, and then Panopticon, The Court, Playing for Time, all mysterious tunes and everything. And then Io, his first real big, warm, happy song, probably since Us, you know, I guess. In a way, there's uplifting songs on that, you know, but at the same time, like if you really want Steam, but then the real uplifting stuff you got on the album So with
Right.
Sledgehammer, and what's the other one? Big Time. You know, just fun tracks. So
What I really love about this song are the lyrics. I mean,
yes.
they're just, it's like a science song. The details, the biology of it. It's so fun. I wanted to send it to, there's a science podcast I listen to called Science Friday. I want to like tell them, check out this song. You should be talking about it because it's so cool. It's a science lesson. A wonderful, uplifting song.
Wonderful, and again, it really helps put an impact on one's life and reflect. You see, and saying, I've got stuff coming out, stuff going in. I'm just a part of everything. And
I just love that idea. Like, it's so elemental and simple, and it's like so bloody true.
And we've got,
and again, it links us
we've got 2 legs and
with
1
every
heart.
every other living creature on the planet. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, and I think, well, Peter, you never talk about this sort of stuff. It's, I mean, from the day the guy was talking about hermaphrodites and hogweeds and these sort of things, to now to talk about, well, at the end of the day, we're all connected. We're all connected, even if you are, even to hermaphrodites and hogweeds.
Even if you don't want to be, Panopticon is watching.
Yeah,
we're all connected.
There you go. It's a beautiful song too. It has some very soulful moments in it too, I find, and the bridge parts. That's true. My one little beef with the song is that there's not enough choruses. The choruses are so fantastic that I between that verse that occurs after the first chorus, you've got the verse, then he jumps straight to this sort of like instrumental bridge part thing, and then goes back to another verse, and then does a final couple of choruses. I want there to be another chorus between those two. I mean, I can even make my own
I feel like it's
version of that.
On some of the songs on the actual album in total, I really feel his choruses need to be longer or repeated. I have this issue with This Is Home too, where it's such a beautiful chorus and I want more of it. And I totally think, I will say too, I think when they announced at this point, and I would have had the tickets for the tour when they announced it, because it was the 4th song that came out. But this is the one where I had in my head and I was singing along to that chorus. It's like, okay, I see myself in the crowd screaming this at the top of my lungs with everyone, and it's going to be so powerful. And yes, I did it at the concert. I don't really feel like everyone around me was doing it because they didn't know the song as well because of how he's released them. But I loved belting this out in the crowd.
I did too, and I had the same thing as you at that. I mean, he played it quite, I don't know where he played it with the set with you saw him, but it was pretty early on. It was like song number 5 or something like that in the set, because he did a couple of oldies to kick off with, then he did like 4 or 5 new songs in a row, you see, from the album. But kind of all like the latest releases up to that point, I think. And IO was one of the last ones, but I was like, oh, this is the one and everything. And I was going to jump up and down. I was kind of in between. I did have like an area to stand or sit, but I kind of just moved around because I just was in between the tiers. I had some space there to move around and try and find the best sound. And IO came on. I was jumping up and down, but I was looking around. It's kind of like, okay, one person's there. And it wasn't really like the big mosh pit that I was hoping to have, so with that song. Maybe the next tour it will be there. It'd be like, oh, it's this song. I remember this song from the last tour.
I know. I just see this one as think. I think he's gonna, because he just seems like he's gonna keep going and stuff that he'll bring back. Yeah.
Yes, he has to. It's the title track. Yeah. Lyrically, very wonderful, beautiful song. Mix wise, true. That's right. Let me just consult my notes and do this. This is probably the most notes I've ever taken. So with I.O., what did I say about I.O.? So yes, naturally, again, with the Dark Side mix, they seem to really push through. It almost sounds like as if like they've added extra instrumentation on these dark mixes, because there's like these extra percussion parts, extra bits as well that includes with the dark mix of IO, including, I've put here, an echoey hand clap. It's like this that occurs on the dark mix, which you think like, did I miss that on the bright side, or they just not have it on the bright side? But I think terms though, with how poppy it sounds, it feels to me quite well. I think it's more the bright side to me. I prefer that mix because it's just this lighter sound about it. And I think with the dark side, they're trying to just create a dark side mix because they have to. That's the feel I get.
Right.
So
I mean, in some ways, it's almost sad that this wasn't just released as an album, and you could see this totally being either probably the second single, maybe after Panopticon off the album to be released, and you can just really hear this on the radio and everything too.
Totally, and I love that. Even, I mean, he does repeat the chorus at the end, and even this extra guitar from, I presume maybe it was David. And I thought he's repeated the chorus, and then apparently this African choir was there, which you can barely hear. That kind of was a bit of an anticlimax when it's like it's got this choir in, amazing. And you can't really hear. I mean, they're kind of there if you really listen to it on the bright side. To me, they sound even more muffled on the dark side. Sadly, like you can barely comprehend them, but they are there.
I mean, maybe it's the lesson of sometimes you can put too much in a song and things will get lost.
Yeah. I mean, a bit of a
good song.
Yes, and a bit of an abrupt ending, but other than that. A fantastic song. One of definitely again an album highlight. Oh, did I mention? No, that comes later. Okay, cool. No, don't worry. So great song.
So, if I were to ask you, how many kinds of horses do you think there are? What would you say?
Well, from my education, and my entire education has been from Genesis and Peter Gabriel and everything related to it. So I'm gonna say there's 4 kinds of horses.
It all seems so simple, remarkably clear. Knowing you could be a part of it, they fill your head. Come all the nights, oh, come all the days. So inaccessible in this land beyond the brilliant haze. Here is all your money, there is the load. This is how you travel if you live to see the world explode. You say you're something different, but you do it all again. You think you're something different, but you do it all again, again and again.
We're bordering onto a bad Mike pun territory.
If he's listening, he's going to be like, "Oh my god, this is the fantastic intros! I love it. Where do they get these? Where do they get this stuff from?" 4 kinds of horses. Yes, this actually. When I first heard it, it was one of those ones that kind of very easily washed over me. It was, especially the outro. It was kind of like
didn't do too much for me. Yep.
I was expecting something to. I was gonna. Okay, but. After listening to it again, especially today, and both versions as well, just bright and dark for me, I think this is actually a very powerful song. If you really spend time with it, you have to spend time with it. You can't have it on in the background somewhere. You have to sit,
focus on it, and
listen to it and focus on it.
I think what made me
really
notice it more too, again, mentioning Tabletop again, when they did their Tom's poll, this was like number, I think 3.
Yeah, this was
the top songs, and I was like, wow, okay,
really high up.
I need to pay more attention to this song. And then I did hear more in it and stuff. Again, it kind of starts out similar to Panopticon or The Court, and you're like, okay, with some funky stuff going on. Though I will say the weird, like, it's almost like a bass sound of doom, 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 doom. But if you listen close, it's actually Peter's voice on there going like and modified and stuff. And yeah, it's like, oh man, that's so cool.
and what other again, I was trying to think of what the song kind of starts off that way as well, with these Blood of Eden.
Oh,
as well. Yeah, the beginning of that.
You're kind of doing a good gorilla impression there, so it was throwing me off.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, that's what made me thought of it. That actually was like, oh, that's he's going back to the Blood of Eden kind of vibe with this song. And it's really yeah, and Brian, that's right. This is one of the ones that actually I'm just looking up here. Brian Eno, he's on almost all the songs, in fact, actually, but especially on this one. He is on this one as well with rhythm programming and progressing. Okay. Electronic and electronic worms and additional synths. So whatever an electronic worm is, that's what he's doing on this song.
It sounds like a bad thing, like a virus, I would have thought, but what do I know? The music, maybe it's something different.
Yeah, but I love this song. This song is so. I mean,
the way it's just slowly, again, I think we expected more of it when we first listened to it. So then you're like, okay, this is the song. Okay, so I'm going to listen to it more and over to kind of take it apart and deconstruct it. And then you feel like, okay, so it's like a slow movement up and down of you're being taken on a journey almost. Yeah. No idea what it's about, though.
I have no idea what it's about. I instantly thought of like the four kinds of horses, like what what they're called. The
horse of the apocalypse.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
I thought it was to do with that, perhaps. So
it could be, maybe, yeah.
I never really listened to I never sat down and read the lyrics of the song. So, but I actually, to be honest, I did walk away though when I first heard the song. I did kind of walk away with that chorus around my head.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what it means, but I enjoyed that, and especially the way that he has the whole and on stage too, everyone singing it together and stuff. It was a really impactful, nice chorus. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially the part leading up to the chorus is like, oh, that melody really, it's like this is really crescendoing to something here. And again, we turn to which version we like, and I'm just putting in. I love the orchestration, and that's true. The when the outro is kicking off and it's got this orchestration building up again. Harks back to an older Peter Gabriel song, very signal to noise.
Totally, completely. Up. Yep, I've been that in my head. The pizzicato of the violins and stuff. Yeah,
like very catchy. As again with this that melody. The only thing was quite
nice with the violin and the strings and everything. Yeah,
very nice. Nice extra guitar work as well. But I have to say I was really looking forward to hearing the Dark Side mix. I was thinking like, some stuff is really going to jump out here. I mean, actually, to be honest, that intro on the Dark Side, it's quite a scary jump because on the bright side it's like this boom boom boom. On the dark side, it's almost like one of these horror jump scares. It's like, oh my gosh, that's really.
That's why I like it.
And also this is where now, and I did not realize this.
Come on, Dan, give in to hate. Come on.
Yeah, I know. But actually, this is the first time I'm hearing this where we've just had I.O., where I'm just a part of everything. There actually is a lyric in this, four kind of horse, I've written this down, saying, be part of it. There's actually, that lyric is actually mentioned in the song.
So you're saying there's a secret code in all these songs that we're missing?
Well, that always just kind of like echoing back to I.O. being part of everything, and actually the lyrics "be part of it" is actually mentioned again in this song as well. That's quite interesting.
It's sounding like as we take all these apart, that he's really done a lot of work in flow and track listing.
In flow, totally. Yeah, totally. So this great. I mean, I like the bits that jump out, especially that beginning part, but that jump out with the Dark Side, like this metallic percussion is going on as well, which you don't really hear in the Bright Side. Just the only thing with the Dark Side mix is that the outro doesn't crescendo as much as I would have liked to have done compared to the Bright Side mix. So. Overall, I really thought the Dark Side mix was going to stand out more for me, but actually I prefer what happens with the Bright Side. So yeah.
It's hard because it's like you can't have both together at the same time. You know,
no, I mean you could.
It's nice he gave us these. It's nice he gave us these options, but I almost wish he would have just like stuck with one so that we wouldn't know. Because it's like I want a combo album of Bright Side and Dark Side mixes, but that doesn't exist. I guess you can make a playlist.
You can make your own version of it. You can just literally put the two songs together and just see what it sounds like. But
I must say, with that cool beginning sinister bit, I almost wish he would have reused it in some way or had it, come back again, because it was such a neat little thing that he sounded like he put a lot of work into it and then it was gone in 10 seconds.
Which part are you talking about?
The beginning bit.
Yes. I know. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Actually, this song never really, apart from the chorus, this song doesn't really repeat itself either. Just kind of. Actually, that's not
like
true.
Another Genesis nod.
Well, to be honest, actually, that's not true. It has this intro, but then you got the verse, bridge, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus. So it's actually it does repeat itself. But then it goes to this very unique outro. Again, a big highlight. This song, I really love it, and I really did like the. I was a bit concerned watching it at an outdoor concert in the daytime, because this wasn't the first set, and it didn't get dark until about halfway through the second set. So I didn't really get a chance to really reflect on the lighting, but I was worried that this song was going to fall really flat in terms of the sound and everything, but it actually worked really, really well, and it did sound really great live. So great song. Thumbs up.
So if we're riding along, each of us on a horse, and we got one extra horse next to us, and we see the town we're headed to right ahead, how would you say you would get there? What route would you take?
I think we would just have to take the road to joy.
Salt eyes, swollen skies, look for anchors, look for ties. Sharp sounds swim around, soak into the brittle ground. Been so many days, been held inside this body. Been so many days, there's nothing to do. Been so many days, in the throbbing of the darkness. Been so many days, I've been waiting for you back in the world. Waking up the road to joy.
Mike Lord, eat your heart out. Yeah. All right. So here's an interesting thing. Instantly when you first heard that intro, you're like, oh, okay, we got an uplifting song again. It's gonna be punchy. It's already positive. It's like major chords and everything. However, when that verse kicked in, what song were you thinking of straight away when he
I mean,
started
do you just
singing?
want to mention Tabletop right now?
No, I wasn't thinking of Tabletop at all. As soon as I heard that verse, I was like, let's just kiss that frog again.
Well, that's what they mentioned on Tabletop, Tom.
I know, yeah. But I wanted to say that, but I
can't get it out of our heads, but that's what I thought.
But before I listened to the episode, though, I instantly was like, he's just singing "Kiss That Frog" again. It's like, what's he doing? It's like, I know eventually a writer does kind of repeat themselves and everything, but honestly, I mean, he could sue himself for plagiarism. Seriously. And I can't remember who the artist was, but there was an artist who did that.
Okay, so, Dan, this does not sound like the road to joy to me. This sounds like the road to complaint.
It sounds like the road to the court. He's going to head to the court. So, no, I mean, yeah, I just thought, okay, Pete, what are you doing?
It's one of those things where I'm like, okay, yeah, it sounds similar, whatever, but it's also like, you're 72. Will you do what you want? I'm okay.
I know.
I'm not going to critique it that much.
The song is fantastic, and even though actually this song is about facing death as well, but you face it with a joy. You be like, oh, now we're going to go on a great adventure. I mean, it was Peter Pan who said, "To die would be a great adventure," you know, and so. This is what he's.
Oh, no.
Huh? Yes.
Wait, but wasn't the next line, "To die would be the greatest adventure"?
Maybe it was like, yes, yeah.
No, I think it was that. To die would be a great adventure. Then the next line is, to die would be the greatest adventure.
And Hook saying, well, death is the only adventure we have left.
And yes, that movie has Phil Collins in it, just to throw that in there.
Bit of trivia there, Genesis trivia there. Right, so, Road to Joy. Yeah, no, a great song. It was a great one to hear live as well.
Just very happy, uplifting, and cool, like writing on the keyboard stuff and things. Yeah. Now, what do you think about? And again, you have different versions with each mix too. When that comes in, when it doesn't come in, and which verse and stuff. I kind of wish it would just decide to be like come in every time or don't come in every time and stuff.
What that riff?
The wee bit.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm just from the music's perspective, he does the chorus like one time, but then when he I just got off a piece of chocolate. Thank you. Oh. But then he does the chorus.
Continues.
Exactly. The road to sweet joy. The first time round he does the chorus like one time, and that riff comes in. The second time round he repeats the choruses, and the riff comes in after the second time, you see. So, and I think that's the trait that then carries on after that, you see. It's a typical musical thing to do, you see. You just give me a little taste of the chorus, and then the second time around, you're back with the chorus. Now we're gonna make it last longer. I really love there's this string, like these strings running down as well.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like there's, I mean, it's almost like this like Eddie Van Halen's going. Let's make a string version of that, shall we? Also, I never thought about this until really, again, just listening to it today. There is a 3-second drum solo from Manu. It's like a solo. And I was thinking, like, right. And then, of course, I started to look back over Peter's discography, and I was like, where else have I heard like these drum intros? I mean, all I could think of was right back to his first album where he had the song Modern Love. It's like, what?
Yeah, that's right.
Things like this, you see, and I can't really think of any other songs in my head right now anyway. Feel free, listeners, to correct me on that matter if I am incorrect. That actually kick off with either a drum fill, or there's a solo drum fill that takes place within the song, you see. So, and I think Peter was just like, let's just throw that in there. It's like, this is like a very rock and roll kind of thing to do. And I suppose we tend to forget that Peter is a man who's growing up in, the 50s and 60s, and rock and roll was just taking place and into that kind of stuff. So it's not left him. And I am going to mention his music influence in the next couple of songs as well. So, yeah.
I mean, he also, I think, realizes he has a fantastic drummer right near him, and he's like, go have some fun, let's use you. I mean, I would say that, again, calling back to Panopticon, I mean, the way Manu Katché plays with his various symbols and stuff too, and the way the song ends with him doing the symbol stuff, and it's just like,
oh yeah, that's
fantastic.
True. And I forgot to mention that with the outro of Panopticon, it's fantastic because he's really just fills, you see. And these days with music, and from my experience as well, that you get to a point where simple is the way you work these days, and no one of these crazy fills. But again, Peter Gabriel is kind of like, oh, Manu, just do your thing. I mean,
and it's just such a unique style that's so different to Phil or most other drummers too, of just how he plays it and how fast and using the symbols in different ways and stuff.
Well, and just to really talk about very just off topic here, it's like, well, we are talking about this topic, but when I saw Peter Gabriel live for the Up Tour in 2002, I guess at the time it might have been 2003, he had Jed Lynch, who in my ears, I believe he's more of a percussionist than a drummer. Amazing percussionist and programmer and all these things. Because when he was playing, I mean, the guy has a solid, thick, almost John Bonham type feel. I mean, he pounds that bass drum like there's no tomorrow. But he's the guy who's not very openly technical, you see. And so when he did things like Come Talk to Me, when you listen to Come Talk to Me, for example, when Peter Gabriel played on the Secret World Tour, after the second chorus, you've got Manu Katché going like this,
the fills and things. Yeah,
that's
so cool.
When it came to that moment in that song for that tour, the Up Tour, and this was like the second to last song, I think. I was waiting for the big like fills and things like that, and Jed Lynch does these fills, but it's very rhythmic fills. It's none of these solo standout fills. So, and at the time, I was a bit more of an arrogant, closed-minded drummer. So to me, I didn't think he sucked. I just thought I was missing that, you see, at the time.
I mean, it's a style. All drummers have different styles.
There you go. That's a style.
Reminds me a bit
of
Stuart Copeland style.
Almost. Yes. Totally, absolutely,
and a bit of Bill Bruford, a bit too. But, hearing it on Genesis stuff, I like listening to Bill Bruford, but I tend to I prefer Chester much more over that, because I think it's too much for that song. But it feels like Manu Katché works so well with this album for all that stuff.
Well, it's interesting as well, because Manu Katché he's definitely not a guy who happily will play different fills on various things and stuff. So, but I think with this, he had fills, but I think he kept to it. I think he stuck really to it. And I think with the outro, even with live, with things like Panopticon and Road to Joy, those fills were, as far as I remember, identical to the album, you see. Because they worked.
Plus, when you watch the YouTube footage of it, and he's just got that big smile on his face, you can't help but smile.
Yes, he's got the drummer with the biggest smile in the world, absolutely. But actually, comparing the mixes again, it's a weird one for me, because the Road to Joy, again, it's this happy, bright song, and the drums are very in your face and very bright. Yeah, with the dark mix, they have this sort of like bit more slightly less trebly feel to them. They sound a bit more 70s actually. They have this more of this bassy. The snare is not really as impactful. I mean, it's there. It's certainly impactful. Sorry, but it's the wrong choice of words. But it's not as bright sounding. Again, which is obvious, isn't it? So, but because of the mix, we're listening to it. So, it's a bit of a slightly thicker sound as well. You can definitely hear it. You can definitely, in a different way, hear it because of its the mix, obviously, for that reason. But
it really works for the song, I think, though.
It works for the song. However, that riff, that Brian Eno riff, I have to say, I am missing what is happening on the bright side. The bright side is more of this like very synthetic wee 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 wee.
Yeah.
Well, the dark side is dark side is more
yeah.
of a whistly. It's more whistly, which is kind of like almost like someone's whistling it as well. And I just thought, oh, that doesn't sound as strong. However, again, when I first listened to that, I wasn't too sure what the song was about, especially when P was doing it live and there was a middle finger on the screen gesturing the entire audience. And I thought, what the hell is this song about? And then, and because also that's true, he actually played that song before it got released. But when I saw him, then you see, so more confusion as to why are we being flipped off as the entire audience, Berlin audience?
Pay good money for this.
And so Peter said, this is a big like up yours to death, to death. And I thought,
right.
Oh, and then of course the last lyric saying jump into the lake. Bright side, I didn't know what that sound was. It was very like
this is one definitely very noticeable difference. Yep.
Yeah. And then the dark side, you actually do hear a lake. And I thought, oh, well, I really do. As a
podcasting audio guy, it's actually a small bit of water. It's not a lake. It's a full lake sound. It's actually more of a bucket of water or something. But it is cool to have that much louder splash sound.
Well, actually, for a guy who actually has recorded at Real World Studios, I can tell you that outside there is a very beautiful duck pond outside with a water.
Oh, that's right. I think it's in the video too, isn't it?
With a small waterfall and everything. And I think they probably just threw a big stone in that water there and worked with that. You see, so
it just didn't sound as full and.
No, and that's what I'm saying. So they probably, as you said, they probably just threw something into that little duck pond, and then just maybe they did.
I don't know. I think they just Googled water splash sound and.
I see. Right,
the
internet. They just did that. free sounds, freesound.org. Yeah, they went to freesound.org. Yes,
and they didn't credit it.
Okay. No, but so honestly, I'm a bit. I think I prefer the bright side mix in terms of the mix.
Live.
Sorry?
Oh, you do? I thought you didn't. You said it was tinny.
The bright side.
You didn't like it because it was so
thin. No. I think I prefer the drums. They stand out for me with the bright side because of that. You see, and plus I prefer the sound of. I know. I prefer the sound of the synth riff on the bright side. Mm-hmm. The only thing is that lake is more. Yeah, it makes more sense to me on the bright side.
I'm trying what they did live because I don't remember it being either they didn't do the splash or it was smaller.
No,
they wished on the screen.
No, they did do a splash. They did do a splash.
Okay.
Just didn't. I mean, I heard it, but I don't.
Yeah. Okay, they did do. I just wish they would have. I would have seen on the screen. Not necessarily Peter, but someone just jumping into a lake or something. It would have worked.
No. Yeah, it was just that's how it finishes. And Peter just is his traditional like fist in the air kind of thing. So.
Yeah. Eco.
Yeah, but a great song. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Mm-hmm.
So before we go to the next one. I just wanted to capture, and it's too bad because it's almost like not half the songs, is it? 2, 3.
We're halfway through the album.
Album. What a run of 6 songs! Like I think this might be the best run of 6 songs I've possibly any album I've heard. Just like how good they all are, Just like this whole run is just so powerful.
And I think, and I kind of. Got to the point where we're now kind of like, apart from Panopticon and Court, which are kind of similar, then you've got ballad, if you want to call them ballads, slow song. Let's call it slow songs. Then I.O. picks it back up, and then 4 Kinds of Horses takes it back down again, and then back up again with Road to Joy. So he's definitely got a flow with this, which I guess he's probably kind of had with a lot of his albums in a way, but he's definitely very noticeable with this one.
So at this point in the album, how much would you say you're enjoying it?
A lot. Very, very much. Because again,
But if you were to pick, say, 2 words to sum it up.
Oh, I see. Well, I am I'm
What would you
just,
say?
yeah, I am
How
enjoying.
much?
I am enjoying this album so much.
So much unfinished business, all sticky with desire, raking through the empty shells of all the rockets we fired. Set the navigation for the earth, all warm and wet. And as the longing drops away, the compass is reset. Oh, there's so much to aim for. You can shoot at the sun, but all of it just comes and goes. There's only so much can be done. Time slips in the mirror.
Right. So much. This
Piano.
song is beautiful.
Mhm.
And again, a song that I really listened to the lyrics to. I
Yeah.
have to say, I got teary listening to the song for the first time, because again, I'm gonna echo back to what I've been getting up to the last few months by changing accommodations twice, but the first time included moving an entire country. So I moved from Berlin, after living there for about 12 years. I moved back to Spain because my family and I, we wanted to see a bit more of the world and be close back to the ocean again, and to be somewhere Spanish speaking as well. So, and this song came out. So hang on, this is track now number 7, right?
Yeah.
So okay, so we are now in the month of July. And yeah, we were planning to leave. Originally, we were planning to leave Berlin in August. We didn't actually do it in the end until October, but August was it. So we were preparing. And this song, lyrically as well, there are so
Really hit you?
it really hit me as well. And especially, unfortunately, there was one particular lyric in there. The other lyric which says just close your eyes. Because it says close your eyes and then just feel from above and all around you that everything you feel is the love you're receiving from people, and that really hit me as well. But there are other lyrics in there which I did not write down for some reason, but I listened to them and it gave me goosebumps, because I was like, this song is completely about us starting having new beginnings in our lives. It's completely about that. And yes, the emotion was just so much. So
I mean, it's interesting because again, this is why I was mentioning the first 6 songs, because I feel this song is a little lesser and doesn't do as much, pun intended, for me. But again, that just shows how different it is with people, because it means so much more to you, because of what you were going through and just all these different things. So it shows the power of music and how everyone has different feelings. I do love the opening lyric of so much unfinished business, all sticky with desire. It's just like, such a Peter Gabriel lyric. That's so unique.
Well, that's what it was. Yeah, I think it was like, you've still got so much more to give. And I suppose when you want to make a big change in your life, there's always a part of you that's going to doubt your thing, like, am I really making the right decision here? Shouldn't I just stay where I am right now? It's like, well, no, you wanted to make a change in the first place because you are unhappy. It's like, yeah, but do I really deserve this? And then when he's saying things like, you've still got so much more to give, that's what really hit me. I thought, wow, okay, it's like this guy.
It's one of those ones where I look
to
at the name of the song and I think, oh yeah, it was an okay song. I didn't love it that much. But then when I actually hear it, I really enjoy it. Like, I'm thinking of just the choir now, and again the way it builds, and just it's really. And again, this is a song that you should really pay attention to and focus on, because I agree that maybe, and I believe if with the tabletop that this was quite low down with the voting as well. Well, I was going to say, but in the video that Peter Gabriel listened to, I recorded, I can't remember who he said it. I don't know if it was one of the producers or what had said this is the best song you've ever recorded.
Yeah,
he said,
and
apparently, which is like, and it's very simple. And it's like, really?
And when I first heard this, I thought the same thing. I thought this, again, the impact it had on me, I suppose it helped. I mean, looking back on it, I suppose now listen to it today, for example, maybe he does do one too many verses that just jump straight from verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. Maybe there was some sort of change that happened between verse 3 and 4, whatever. Maybe that could have changed a little bit of something. But other than that, it's great. And this is one that I definitely prefer actually the Dark Side mix of. I listened to the Dark Side, and I actually wrote down afterwards, listening to it, I was getting teary even today, and I wrote down the best. I just wrote down the best. It's a stunning.
I mean, it's a good album, but he's made you cry twice with playing the time and so much.
Yeah. I mean, the piano on this is unbelievable,
deep and feel it,
also as each notes are being kind of hit, not every single one, but every like one that kind of kicks off the chords, I'm hearing the sort of like light percussion-y sound on the dark mix I'm talking about here, and I can't tell what it was, whether it's just a piece of the piano coming through. Also, when that chorus kicks in, you hear these oohs a little bit on the bright side, but it feels like it's so much more, and it's almost like this is some sort of synth orchestration coming through in collaboration with the oohs on the chorus, and it just really resonates.
You mean a mellotron, maybe? Maybe Tony is there?
Ooh, perhaps. Perhaps. And again, consulting my notes here, the bridge part on the Dark Side has this complete Beatles-esque vibe to it. It's just, everything just disappears, and you just got this sort of like reverby muffled chorus, which so reminds me of like Strawberry Fields. It's just classic Beatles stuff, which is like, okay, that's no coincidence right there, clearly. So I thought that was a fantastic little thing to add in there. And again, Tony Levin just really, again, stands out on this track. He's just got his bass, you can really hear, like, almost to the point, this almost like the thumping of the strings. You really hear that on this mix.
It makes you wonder, like, when you talk about with the piano, because it sounds like it's the when you have a heavy, like a big grand piano, and if you have the mic really close, you can hear the sound of them actually being pressed as well as the notes being played. And then with it makes you wonder if they mic'd them up in a certain way that to bring it that closer sound.
Yeah. It's a beautiful track. I love it. It definitely it goes high up for me. It's a very tough album to rate to rank in which songs I prefer, because so far they all really stand up there for me.
Okay. Well, I guess if I had to sum it up in some way, I'd say Olive Tree.
It does remind me of an olive tree, yes.
In the misty silver night, my eyes fall to the ground. I can feel it come alive. In the seeds pushing out through the soil, new life weaves its way out through the coil. Nothing's gonna hold this movement down. I was apart from it, my head in the sky. With the melting of the solid world, the change is coming fast. And it's, I've got the water falling on me. It's all waking up. I've got the sunlight warming my back, warming up all my bones. I've got the cool breeze right on my skin, bringing every cell to life, making all connections live, from one point to another, and we're all here just the same. Trying to make some sense of it, where I'm going now, and how it fits together in the bigger shape of things.
This one I was really happy with, because he played this in May, and I thought, oh man, he's got to release that, surely. I presumed that all these songs he was doing live, they were going to be released. But again, we didn't know if he really was going to take this on every single month. We did not know what was going to happen. If he was just going to stop after month 6 or whatever. And when he played that, I thought, damn, this song is killer. And also, I think now I'm starting to hear the characteristics of these extra musicians coming through. So he's got with him now a trumpeter, for the first time. And I believe it's the guy I'm thinking of, Josh Back. If he's the guy,
so he's
who
the same
actually,
guy that was on with him on tour, right?
I believe, if I'm correct, I'm just reading the personnel
right,
on
the name.
on Wiki. Yeah.
Want a
And
weird fact? When I was at the show, I can't remember which song it was. I think it was one point when they were introducing the band. Two people over from me was yelling, "Josh, he's from Oakland."
Oh, right.
I guess there's a local guy over here.
Okay, right.
And everyone's like, "Shut up."
Well, I love the story that Peter Gabriel told of how he was found, where they found this guy. That I think it was Peter Gabriel's producer, or whatever, that he was in an apartment and he just heard Josh playing in the other room. And he just said, "This guy sounds great." And just connected with Peter through there. Just a simple like that, And I thought it was a great.
So the lesson from that is play your instrument all the time, wherever you are, really loud, and someone might discover you.
Well, there you go. There you go. I mean,
Even if it's drums.
I mean, well, to name another musician, that is how the most longest running drummer for Oasis was found, Alan White, that he was just drumming in a studio next door and Noel Gallagher happened to be listening to him. He just said, "That drummer sounds great," and called him up and says, "Do you want to be in my band?" Similar story with Chester Thompson. Phil just happened to hear Chester Thompson play. Well, he didn't hear him in a room. He just heard him on a live album and said, "I really like that fill he did with that other drummer. I want him. He's the new drummer for Genesis live."
And I just want to point out, you just compared Chester Thompson to I'm just not going to say anything.
Only from the
If anyone wants to yell at Dan, please do so in the comments.
only reflecting upon the stories of how they were discovered. That's all.
I just feel like Noel wouldn't necessarily be able to hear a good drummer if he was being used as a drum skin.
Well, sorry. I mean, you are talking to an old school Oasis fan here, and Alan White was a big influence on my playing. Anyway,
okay.
This is not me and Virgil and Oasis. This is me and Virgil and Peter today.
So we'll give you a chance to tell me the fun story of Phil's story he told once when they were on holiday. I don't remember where it was. Don't think it was Tahiti, some fancy island somewhere. And it was at some bar where they were playing music, and Noel was there, and he really hates Phil Collins.
Yes.
And they asked Phil to come up and play a bit, which he did, and then he did it while giving Noel a big beaming smile the whole time.
However, I think I said this to you again. We're going off topic here, ladies and gentlemen, but this is very Genesis related, because I just read a few months back when I was reading I think maybe I was listening to the Genesis to Revelation episode from Tabletop Genesis or whatever. I just went on Wikipedia. I think it's on Wikipedia or somewhere that Noel Gallagher's a real fan of that album, From Genesis to Revelation. Speechless.
You mean the one I hate the most?
Yes.
I think I did see that too, but it's like, really? That's the one you're going with?
I know. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Anyway, back to...
but he's going to say they were the real influence. That album was the real influence. It wasn't the Beatles in any way.
No.
Anyway, let's stop talking about Oasis. I don't want to.
No.
Go back to
anyway, so Olive Tree. I like he did talk about this live, saying how that you can be planted, you can sort of I think it was about saying like how one can plant themselves, I think even after they're dead. I believe he says that this olive tree will basically be the impact that he leaves behind once he's gone.
You degrade and rot and turn into nutrients that feed nature around you.
Well, yeah, and I like that idea that actually I was watching this show. I won't say what show it was, out of embarrassment. But there was a patient there. It was a medical show, and she says, "After I die, I don't want to be cremated because that just pollutes the planet. I want to be planted. I want to be planted so I can be." I can grow and I can become something nice that gives literal air to the planet, so I can turn into a tree. do that for me, please. Promise me you do that for me. I thought that was a really nice idea. So yeah.
I mean, of course, when you throw the ashes wherever, then it still becomes part of the planet. But anyway, yes, it is. It is a thing the way. I mean, there's ones where you get frozen and broken into pieces, basically, that you can bury. There's a good book. Do I still have it? No, I think I got rid of it. Mary Roach called Stiff, which is all about cadavers and bodies and stuff. But at the end of the book, she goes into all these details about various ways of when you've passed on and what to do with your body in different ways. And stuff.
So yeah, as far as we know, that's what the song is about.
And it's cool with and we haven't really touched on this, that each song had a specific piece of commissioned artwork or used artwork. It got released, and then on the tour that was used on the screen and stuff. So this one was cool because it was the tree and the roots moving, and it was all brought to life and everything, which was really cool.
It was really cool. A great song. Thumbs up. To be honest, I didn't really hear much of it. I'm just saying, I didn't really hear much of a difference in terms of the mixes, I have to say.
The one thing, this is the funny, because this is the one I actually noted down that was different. Right at the end, there's a last line that's in the bright side mix, but not on the dark side mix. It's on the bright side of the inside mix, where Peter says, "Water falling on me." And in the dark side, they don't use it. And it's like,
that's
what?
True.
Why would you cut that out? It's a really nice ending. It just ends. Yeah, because it's got the building of the strings, dude, and then it just ends, and it's such a nice last lyric to end the song on. And I don't know why it wasn't in the...
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so yeah,
I almost wonder, it's like when they're doing the mixes, the two guys, or whatever. He's like, "Okay, I'm sticking this lyric at the end. You can't use that because it's like you can't do the same thing. You have to be different, right?"
Or they're like, "So what did you think?" Peter's like, "I don't hear any difference." you gotta change something. All right, we'll just cut that lyric out then. Fine. I mean,
anyway, good happy song.
Good happy song, and however you're feeling about the lack of lyric, I hope that the pain that you're feeling now, that hopefully something can heal you.
Love can heal, obviously.
Whatever mess you find yourself within, regardless how you got there, when the edifice has slipped away and died, left you standing there defenseless.
Well,
moving wave of music.
This song. I mean, I keep going on about all these songs. So, but
this is a little bit with so much where I feel it doesn't always do much for me, and then I listen to it and I really enjoy it. But it's I feel it's a little lesser to some of the other ones, but it's still a very nice song. It's hard because not every song can be the best.
I actually meant to point out that one thing that really stands out for me in this album is the backing vocals. And Four Kinds of Horses, I thought was really. I thought an amazing addition to his lineup is, and I believe the name is Jenny Abrahamson, where she is the one playing the cello on the stage.
She was amazing on stage.
She was incredible. And I loved her voice on Don't Give Up. I thought that's the best I've heard it since Paula Cole. I mean, Melanie Gable's got a great voice as well, but in my opinion, it just doesn't do that much.
She was so good. Yep, I loved her.
But actually, I'm just reading here that actually.
And thank you for remembering her name.
Yes, well, I just got the personnel here. So, but I thought it was her who was doing backing vocals on. No, she's doing backing vocals. Jenny Abrahamson on Love Can Heal.
Oh, okay.
But I thought she was also doing on Four Kinds of Horses.
Oh, okay.
But according to this, she's not. So it's Melanie. It's actually Melanie Gabriel who's doing BB's.
That's what I thought, because I remember
Horses.
seeing her name too, so I didn't know if they had her yet.
But this
Almost
song,
almost felt like he knew, like, well, plus he was playing the instrument, but
yeah.
he heard it. He's like, I need her on all the songs for the tour.
Yeah, and I just presumed she was playing the cello in this because she did do it live. But it's again, it's not her playing the cello on this album. So unless maybe it was afterwards that she was like, I would love to bring you on tour for me, but you don't play the cello by chance, do you? Actually, I do. Maybe it was that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I think for Peter, for this album, that where he wanted a specific instrument or something, and he wanted to get an artist he really liked, a musician basically, that, and he could, because he's Peter Gabriel, he can get them 10 usually.
Well, yeah, actually, who is the cellist? Linnea Olsen. So, oh, Swedish. Okay,
that sounds Swedish. I'm about to say.
Yeah. So this song is, I mean,
it's not it's not very hard to understand, and you can definitely appreciate the lyrics and the sentiment and everything.
Oh man, yeah, absolutely. And of course, as soon as he says, so this song, and I was like, you got to talk about love, how love can heal everything and everything, aren't you? It's like, yep, that's exactly what he talked about. So, and which is true. It's just true. Love is the ultimate medicine, savior of everything. Oh, and actually, there was one very strong thing that he said about that he talked about with Nelson Mandela. Used to Mandela, and when he said this story, it blew me away. That's how love can heal. That Nelson Mandela, after he was released from prison, right, being in prison for half a century, right, so pretty much his entire life, that he then, right, he says, right, I'm out now I want to help and save Africa, right, save the world, whatever. And the people that he was going to be involved with to help save this, to save Africa, his country, a lot of these people are directly involved with either the murders of his friends, or these people are directly responsible for him being thrown in jail in the first place. Yep. And he said, if I was going to continuously have hate and revenge, devil eyes towards these people, I will forever be a prisoner. And when Peter said that, that just
really, he did tell the same story too, and it
hit me in the chest. Very, very powerful, and
it makes me almost want now again for another single off the album would be this, Love Can Heal, and then you have Live and Let Live as the B-side to it, the other side to it, because they're kind of, they're parenthetical songs almost. Yeah, actually,
that's true. I think it was Live and Let Live, because that's about forgiveness, isn't it? Oh, then I'm sorry, I'm getting my stories confused. I think it was that story he talked about.
I wasn't sure. But again, it has similar sentiments.
Similar settings, it's true. Love can heal and everything. So yeah, but
and the key is you have to move on and accept.
Yes. But an amazing song. It's very atmospheric. It's very atmospheric, very ambient. It's vibe to it, which I love. I love listening to ambient music. My favorite soundtrack of all time is Interstellar from Hans Zimmer. And so when this started, that I felt very sci-fi, and initially I was instantly thinking, like, I thought of, this is Interstellar kind of vibe about it.
Well, and again, this is obviously the Brian Eno influence too, because a lot of the stuff with Brian Eno I listen to is the ambient stuff. He has a great series called, I think it's called Music for Elevators. And there's like 4 or 5 volumes, and it's just. But it's all really cool, beautiful ambient stuff that I love.
Oh, and actually that opening violin, I think just because how maybe Arabic it's sounding, the particular, the chord progression that it's using, the scale that it's using, brought me back to Peter's soundtrack album, Passion. I thought it reminded me a lot of that. And it was great to watch it live too. Yeah.
So Dan, where you're sitting right now, what would you call it? What would you say it is?
And still.
What? This is home next, isn't it?
Oh
no, it's not.
Wait, hang on a minute. Is it? Oh yeah, you're right. It is.
Another great blooper.
That's a great blooper right there. Actually, but I don't think this had to be a blooper. This could be in the episode. So yeah. Where I am sitting right now.
Let's try that again. Dan, where you're sitting right now, what would you say it's like? What would you call it?
This is home.
hours in the grind. Of one thing I'm certain, I know this is home. And home is where I need to be. I know you are my home.
I love this song. I love this song when it came out. I love the sentiment of it, you know, and also, and it's, I mean, mainly because the chorus is, it's not necessarily about your home, and it kind of cancels out what you just said, Dan. But the home is not the building around you; it's your family. That is your home, you know.
Yeah. Well,
You are my home.
I was actually performing with this Italian musician many years ago, part of his act, and he had a song called Home. And basically, the song was about wherever he goes, he is home. You see, wherever because he's a guy who liked to travel a lot. You see, and he'd spent a lot of time in India. He spent a lot of years in these places and everything. And he says wherever he laid his bag down and just rooted there for a little bit, to him that was his home. You see, and so when he finished the song, he just said like, "Everywhere I am is my home." You see. And I thought that was a great sentiment to it as well. You see, but I understand where Peter's coming from. I think even if you can say, well, you know what, I'm home, I'm with my friends here, and these friends are my family, then that is my home, you see. So, and I thought it was a really cool song. It was I found myself dancing to this whilst listening to it today, and my wife caught me and she was laughing. She was wondering what the hell I was doing. But because that opening funky riff kicked in.
And you said dancing, and she's like, that is not dancing, James.
That's not dancing. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm dancing to Peter Gabriel. Oh, that makes
okay,
sense.
yeah.
That
He doesn't
kind of
dance either.
dancing. That kind of dancing.
He can't dance.
Yes. No. Yeah, great song. And again,
as we echoed earlier, I want that chorus to be twice as long, maybe 3 times as long. Just repeat the lines if you need to. That's fine. It's such a beautiful little chorus. Do it again.
Again, it's a bit like with the chords that it just has that chorus and it never changes. It always goes back to that, and that's really it.
And I can't believe no one said that.
I
can't believe no one said, "Hey Peter, this bit's really nice. Can you do it again or something?" You know, why didn't anyone say that? And especially at the end when they go home, you are my hope. And I really thought, because I hadn't seen him at this point, and so I really thought when I was going to go see, I think this one's just come out before. Just come out before I was going to see him, and I was like, and I can imagine all of us singing along to that and repeating it, 4 or 5 times. It's like, nope, just the once.
He's definitely a person who doesn't kind of like, apart from maybe things like In Your Eyes and maybe Biko, he's not really a person that will extend endings. I mean, maybe, who knows how many times he'll tour after this, but maybe even for the next tour, maybe he might extend because
maybe
he
just likes the groove too much with Tony.
Yeah, I kind of guess it reminds me a bit of like with Don't Give Up. It's like has that sort of funky element towards it. He did not play this live when I saw him, so that's how young the song was. Maybe the song was not even born
so you
yet.
got, I'm trying to think what I didn't get. So Much is the one I didn't get.
We didn't get So Much either. No, I definitely would have remembered that song. But I think we got pretty much everything else. Well, we didn't get the last. Yeah, actually, the last 3 songs of the album we did not get live.
Okay.
We didn't get. Oh no, I'm sorry. We got Love Can Heal. Well, that's not the last 3 songs I was thinking. So I completely forgot to write down This Is Home in my notes. That's why. So you got This Is Home and Still and Live and Let Live, right? Yeah, good. So those last 3 he did not play live. Yeah. So, but everything else apart from So Much he did. Yeah.
Well, and Still
he did do it live. No,
I'm just doing this. That's the segue, Dan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right. And Still there's a segue. Yes.
a song about his mum.
Yeah. It's I to be honest,
is it your favorite song on the album? Is what you're saying?
yeah. Well, actually, I mean, well, first of all, well, okay, I'll jump into the subject matter then. Again, didn't really follow the lyrics too well until I was reading through them, and I was like, hey, this sounds a bit like someone he looked up to and everything. And turns out, no, he did literally look up to this person in his younger years. It was his mum. So that was quite sentimental to listen to and everything. Don't worry, people, our mums are very much alive still. It's fine. Not talking about that kind of sentimental value, but it was just very. What I got to thinking about though, because I know that I don't know if his dad is still around or not, because his parents.
Did he do a song for him called Father Son? I think.
Right, and he did pass. Okay, because I know his parents lived for quite a long time. They had quite a longevity life, because I think with the Father Son video, there's like we're going back like 15 years ago, maybe more than that. I can't remember when the song came out.
I don't know how many it is. I only knew about it because of Tabletop.
All right. Well, there's the Father Son song. There's the video for it. The video is very beautiful, but you've got imagery of Peter walking by the water as he's talked about in the song with his dad. But there's the Peter that we know that he looks like today, nothing on his hair and a beard, next to this old guy, and you think like, my God, well, how old is his dad to be at the time of that video? Yeah, so it was the opening of this song, that orchestration. Oh my God, was stunning. I thought, wow, where is this song going? And
yeah,
and when it did actually kick in, I was a bit like, oh, all right.
It didn't do much for me on the first listen. I had to listen to it 5 or 6 times to appreciate it more.
Yeah, and I was a bit like thinking, and especially when it kind of, there's a part after the choruses where it kind of goes into somewhere a bit weird, and you kind of don't know where it's going and everything. So it's a strange song for someone to dedicate. You instantly think like, the songs for my mum is going to be like, oh my God, it's going to be a beautiful, stunning song with such flower chords and these sort of things. It's like, nope, it's great Peter weird chords coming in here. And I didn't make any notes about him actually talking about the song, reflecting upon the song and everything. But then, listeners, you can just go and watch the video. It's and
it's got some footage and stuff too. Yeah, and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, shall we talk about the bridge?
The bridge
to this song.
Oh, okay. Have to remind me why.
What food in your belly?
All right.
It goes into an interesting place, which I'm not a fan of, I have to say. I listen to it every time, and I still can't get around it.
I think when I was listening to it, I was like, hang on a minute, the song is starting to sound a bit like sounds very personal, this song. You know, I think that's when I looked up the lyrics when I was listening to that bridge part. I was like, oh, hang on a minute, is he singing about a parent of his or something, or a relative of his or something like that? So yeah.
I think it's. Well, because if you just look at the lyrics without hearing them being sung, it doesn't look anything, it just seems normal. But he sings them kind of weird and dark and sinister. But I think looking at it from a distance, it's basically like, it's just Peter being weird and different and trying something. I don't think it works for me, but I applaud him doing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, praise to him, and again, it's his song. It's his mum. Do what he wants with it. So
you're saying you would forgive him for it?
I would forgive him. I would just, with this, I would just say, hey, just live and let live. Not live and let die. But live and let live. Okay.
I wonder if he's called Paul at all and talked to him about it. If Paul even knows.
Just how much does it have to hurt before you let go the pain? And just how deep does it have to be before you yearn to be free again? Every wound can lock you away. You can walk or you can choose to remain. but every day can pass you by while you were holding the key. This is how it turns. This is what we do. This is who we are. When we forgive, we can move on. Release all the shackles, one by one. We belong to the burden till it's gone.
Yes.
For those that don't know, I mean, you probably do. If you don't, Paul McCartney recorded a song called "Live and Let Die," and it was used on one of the James Bond soundtracks. Check it out. Yeah.
Oh, great song. And for the you rockers out there, Guns N' Roses did the cover of it. So
Yes, a very good version of it too. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Anyway,
Right. Live and Let Live, the last
Great
song on the
song.
album. Oh, very quickly though, which mix did you prefer with End Still? Right, or
I don't really notice. I think the dark side is just going all the way. I don't really notice.
actually, I was actually looking forward to the Dark Side mix of End Still, thinking it would really bring the orchestration through more.
Change
But
it up a bit,
actually,
something?
it didn't. So no.
Okay.
Live and Let Live.
I loved it from the first time I heard it, and then each time I hear it, I love it a little bit more.
I thought you said at first you didn't like it.
Well, or maybe I wasn't. I'm trying to remember what I said.
I thought because I said because we were talking, we said like, oh, what did you think of the? I said, oh my god, this is probably the best thing on the entire album, and you said I don't like it, and then
Oh, really?
And then about a week later, you were like, this is the greatest thing he's done on the album. so yeah,
Maybe that was a different brother of yours.
maybe.
I don't remember saying that, but anyway, I thought I liked it. I had issues definitely with them playing it live, and I didn't know the bloody song because I like the song. So it might have been with that. I don't know. I mean, it's almost like it's two songs in some ways to me.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like the first half and the second
Totally.
half.
Totally.
And that second half for me is In Your Eyes Part 2.
Yes,
Or just Way.
totally. It is like it's. I mean, he's got the African choir. Well, I don't know if it was the African choir there, but he's got a choir back in, and they are really present. It's like, yes, this is what we wanted to hear earlier on with I.O. It's almost like he's kind of throwing elements from previous songs back in now to this final, like there's the full company now of the band walking on stage, joining them Live Aid style, being we're all here now, we're all singing this song.
And I love how because it's you know, it's been nice, the songs at the beginning part and stuff and going along, you're like, yeah, and it's like it feels like a good Peter song, and it's nice music and stuff, and then the way it stops and then and then just explodes.
This song's amazing. I love this song, and I love the subject matter behind it as well. This is what he talked about with forgiveness, and talk about the Nelson Mandela
and
story
like In
as
Your
well.
Eyes, it's so simple with like whatever that is, 3 piano chords just being played in some way, and it's just like, oh, it's such a good feeling in you. And
lovely guitar
I
riff
really
as well.
when I heard this, like hearing that second part too, I really see them in the studio playing together and just like loving the moment, playing together, doing it.
Yeah. It's a really strong one, and a perfect. I mean, at the same time we were listening to this, we were like, oh my god, this is the last one. This is the last release he's going to have with his whole full moon releases. Oh my god, it's going to be a sad month next month. And so I guess there was that also reflecting value towards it. Fantastic.
And a perfect ending to the album. Perfect
Yeah,
opener,
yeah.
perfect ending.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect album. So overall, I mean, so it seems like we've been going through these that I've not shut up about how amazing all these songs are. So yeah, this has definitely been one of Peter Gabriel's best albums that he's come up with, and I'm
we
glad.
did finally get an album, which we've learned about in November, I think it was. We finally found out about, the album's going to get released on the 1st of December. Oh, cool!
Yeah, there was quite quick news, wasn't it? It was like, it's gonna. I mean, what was like halfway through the month or something like that? It's like, the album will be released in 2 weeks. Like, so you are doing an album? Okay, good. You know, and then next thing, all this packaging is released.
That's right, and it did. And Live and Let Live did come out in, again, this is great planning on his part, in November, because 1 month I can't remember which month had
yes.
full moons.
Yes, November was it. November was the one. Yeah, living
Was it November? Okay, yeah. So that way, I mean, great marketing, if you're doing the moon thing.
It was like November 29th, I think, or something like that. Like, I got the email saying Peter's new song. I was like, what? That's genius. And then 2 days later, 2 days later, the album is out.
Yeah,
genius. This guy knows what he's doing. I mean, he probably planned this entire thing out. Just looked through a full moon calendar and just said, like, right, so we can release it that date. Because there was another month.
You have an idea and you see if you can do it, and you're like, this is brilliant.
I know there was another month as well earlier on that I think 2 full moons were in the same month as well. So, yeah. Peter, well done. I love it. The album's fantastic, and it was wonderful when it was released. That constantly there were all over social media. There was just pictures of these record stores. That was one thing. It's like, oh, good, these places still do exist. We can actually go in and buy records and CDs. And he was the entire windows was just covered in his album.
Yep.
And he just thought, no, that's an album cover you want to see in the record store, right? Because it does.
By the way, and they talked about this on Tabletop too. Which was really good. What do you think about the cover?
I do like it. I mean, I get it. I get it with the whole hands thing is a little bit strange, but again, it's probably to do with the whole connecting thing. Because I know they mentioned saying like those hands don't really look like his. And it's like, well, yeah, because we're all connected, we're all part of everything. And again, let's not forget, this is a Peter Gabriel's face. He's got a
pretty wrinkly hands, so I'm pretty sure they're his.
But why wasn't it? But this picture we have seen much early on in the year anyway. Right, it came out like halfway through the year, I think.
Maybe I don't know. This picture started to immerse and stuff, and
there was the hat, which of course was a bit of a wasn't that a Rolling Stone article as well? Something that it was one of those like those pictures. There was like those picture that got taken when he did two head like a head turning in the middle of the frame. So
and when he did the one song he did off of Up after the break in the concert, he wore the hat. What's
really?
It called? Darkness. Yeah, when he did Darkness, he wore the hat.
Oh, right. He didn't do that with us. So, yeah. Why? Why wear the hat for? Do you want to be this dark figure, mysterious figure?
Exactly. That it's like, oh, it's the hat for the picture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was looking up a bit too, and apparently, I guess, and you mentioned it earlier too, some of the songs were played in various forms, like Playing for Time, you already heard. Apparently, there was a version of Love Can Heal, and an early version of IO that at that point was just called In and Out. I don't know if they had lyrics or not, but okay. I mean, how do you feel about him doing that with, hinting at songs earlier on before they come out years later? I mean, it's tough, I guess, with Peter because you never know when you're going to get something new from him, so you're going to take whatever you can get.
You take whatever you can get, take the advantage of it, and get those recorders out now, and do it.
Bootleg,
I love David Gilmour when he was doing this concert, charity concert a few years back at the Royal Festival Hall, I think, for Robert Wyatt, and he says, "Okay, I'm going to play you a new song now, so everyone get your recorders out now for bootlegging," he said to the audience.
There was who was it? Dave Matthews Band. They used to have, well, they probably still do. They have an actual like pit area near, I think, the sound area, whatever, that just for people to record bootlegs because it's such a big deal with that.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Now,
so we got the album. But we also got many versions of the album.
yeah.
So you had the Bright Side mix on CD. You had the Dark Side mix on CD.
Mm-hmm.
You had a special 3 CD version with the Bright Side, Dark Side, and Inside mix that's a Blu-ray DVD that you have to play.
Nice.
And then you had the Dark Side mix and the Bright Side mix separately on vinyl.
Right. And you have? Which version do you have?
Well, I had got the Dark Side mix on vinyl. What's interesting is they all had this little like sleeve bit for color. One was green, I think blue, and pink. Once I took the wrapping off, the sleeve came off. I guess this is the blue one, I think. But it's just funny that all of a sudden you took that off, and then they all look exactly the same.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
And then there's I do also have. I got the CD version to hear the Inside mix, which I heard listened on good headphones through the Blu-ray player. So it's interesting because it used Dolby Atmos sound. I think that's what they said.
That's correct. Yeah, this states here on Wiki as well.
Kind of, again, more, I guess, depth for stuff where you hear things kind of further behind you or in front. I'd say it was kind of neat, and you hear some extra things you don't necessarily hear in the other songs. But I feel overall it's not that much better that this is a superior mix in any way.
Okay.
Like I felt for like Panopticon and some of the songs, the Dark Side mix was still better.
I mean, it's still really cool though, because it's like you can listen to the album 3 times with a slightly different perspective.
Well, then that sets up for there's
Orally,
a box set coming out. Originally, it was set for March.
Yes.
But it's coming out in April, and it's going to have every version on there. So you're going to have 5 versions of the album.
Nice.
So really weird point is, and I said this, on the vinyl, I'm sure it's both mixes, the song list is a little different. It goes Panopticon, Playing for Time, and The Court.
Okay. Interesting.
I think everything else is. So no, I guess they did say actually that some stuff has been reorganized to, I think, to fit stuff better. Yeah. So like Love Can Heal is actually on the second, the other side of the first record. But they were saying, well, they had to reorganize the songs to fit them better on the record. But the first 3 songs are still the first 3 songs on the CD.
Yeah,
they're just in different order.
Why they have to rearrange that for? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I'm okay going from Panopticon to Playing for Time, because Playing for Time is very good. Yeah.
It is. I mean,
well, what's the other note I made? Oh, yes, and also apparently, according to Wiki, the Dark Side and Inside mixes of Live and Let Live are 25 seconds longer than the Bright Side mix.
I did hear that too. Yes. I haven't listened to the Dark Side mix as much with Love and Let Live, just because of how recent it got released. So even though we're talking almost 3 months ago.
Were you able to get any versions, or were you just listening online?
I was listening online. The version that I did have in my basket, that was the CD version with all 3 mixes. Yes. So it is still there, and I do intend to get that. Just with all the moving and everything, it's been a bit.
You wanted to make sure it comes to you wherever you are.
I wanted to make sure I got to the right address. Exactly. So.
All right. Shall we move on to our favorites? Or should we do least favorite first? Let's do least favorite. The song we like the least, and then we'll go into our favorites.
Challenge.
We'll just do one, I think. Yeah. What's the dud? There isn't one.
What is the dud? There isn't one. Honestly, no. Okay. Well, if I had to choose, then I think just because of its slight repetitiveness, yeah, The Court for me.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
I can see that. For me, it's And Still.
All right. Okay.
It's the Since I Lost You from Weekend Dads, right? It's the little less, still a good song, but a little less.
I mean, yeah. Maybe I mean, if that orchestration thing wasn't there at the very beginning of that song, then maybe that would have been a very close either first or second. But I just that every time I hear that orchestration, it's just so mesmerizing. It's so beautiful.
Cool. Well, in that case, then for the favorites, let's do your top 3 in 3, 2, 1 order, if you can.
Thank you. Okay, jeez, right. Okay, you go first. I'm still thinking.
All right, my number 3 is Panopticon.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Cool.
Let's. Your number 3.
Right. Okay. Right now.
Yes, of course. It will change tomorrow.
They all change tomorrow. Yeah.
This is just recording on. What are we? It's February 11th.
Yeah. Yep. So by Valentine's Day, it could all be different. So.
24. Yep. No.
Yes.
That recorded this 200 years in the future.
Right. Okay. Then you know what? I think just for impact, especially with. No, actually not the Dark Side mix, because that intro always scares me. 4 kinds of horses. 4 kinds of horses. Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
cool.
4 kinds of horses.
Yeah. That's definitely keeps kind of rising up. I think the more I listen to it. Yep. There's a lot to that song. Numero 2. This used to be number 1 for me, actually.
Okay.
But it's over successive listens. IO is number 2 for me.
Right. Great. I
mean, I will be emailing Peter Gabriel your choices as soon as you're done with them. So, and he'll
Blast
put a
it
clip
all.
after that and let
No.
you know what he thinks.
No pressure.
No pressure.
We're getting an angry email from him. Right. Then I would playing for time.
Oh.
Yeah, IO was so close there.
Mhm.
But I think just playing for time. Yeah, playing for time would be next. Yeah.
Okay.
The number one for you.
What you just said.
Playing for time.
Playing for time.
Didn't you say? Didn't your name get mentioned on Tabletop Genesis?
It
though,
did.
That your favorite track was actually IO.
It did. And when was that?
When was that? That was in December. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Since
There we
then,
go.
many more listens. And Playing for Time did come out number one, I think, on their poll.
It did. It did.
I just that crescendo at the end, like I said, gives me goosebumps. It turns me into a puddle every time. It's so bloody beautiful, moving, and powerful that I just yes, I'm Squonk. I'm reduced to a pool of tears.
Yes.
Exactly that.
Well, I think Playing for Time was definitely up there, and probably even listening to the tabletop episode of this album just was day before yesterday when they said Playing for Time. I was like, yeah, I agree with that totally. But then listening to IO today, because of impact in my life, plus potential strong news I'll be receiving, musically speaking, maybe within the next couple of days. I'm feeling IO connected, part of everything, happy kind of thing. So that's the vibe I'm in. So
I get that too.
And interestingly enough, the three songs that we've chosen, well, apart from you, the three songs that I've chosen, they're actually right all next to each other on the album.
Yes.
But Panopticon is not very far away either. So
yeah,
it's the second, it's the next house along. It's after us. Yeah.
Number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. What an album.
Right.
All right. Anything you want to mention about the tour? I think I've already complained.
We did,
about,
and we covered a lot of it on the tour review as well. I
still think he should have released. I don't know, done some version of the album. Maybe not released it. Maybe had a digital version or something at the beginning of the year, so I would know all the songs when I went to the gig. Because especially since he played 11 out of the 12 songs at the gig.
Yeah.
I was fortunate. I saw it in October, I think it was, so I knew. All of them, but 2, I think.
I mean, if I could just jump onto the tour very quickly. I mean, I was listening back to the other songs that he played, and I think again, David Fries mentioned this too, that he wanted to really hear like the old classic deep cuts, the non-hits, in a way, because. Looking back at it, I mean, yes, okay, fine. He played Sledgehammer, he played Salisbury Hill. I mean, I think he just wanted to ensure, saying like, okay, you people who have come to see just the hits, don't worry, you are going to get them. I'm not going to play you, I'm not going to play you Flotsam and Jetsam. I'm not going to play you Humdrum. I'm not going to play you Lay Your Hands on Me. Don't worry, you're not going to get that stuff. You're going to get hits, and then the rest of it.
I won't survive with the crowd this time.
No,
I know it. I'm not going to risk it.
Yeah, you people, like a good 70% of the set list you're going to hear here, maybe 60, you're not going to recognize. So that's where you're going to get the hits. And thinking about it, actually, he then played 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it 4 songs? Yeah, 4 songs from So, and 1 song from Us, Biko, Salisbury Hill, and that's it, I believe. Oh, sorry, and Darkness from Up. That's it. So, considering first tour in not 21 years, but in a few years at least, anyway.
Yeah.
I looking back at it, I mean, I was loving it at the time. And plus it was I got Big Time. He did Big Time too. So 5 songs.
Well, you said 4 songs from so that's why I thought you mentioned. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, 5 songs. He did Big Time as well. And when I saw him in 2002, I got all those songs from So, other than Big Time, you see. And so when I got to hear Big Time again, I was like, oh yeah. And I had to call my friend as well because he used to sing to Big Time in his diaper still as a baby, you know. So
when he was doing big times in his diapers, is that what you're saying?
I had to like send a voice message to him saying it's your song. But other than that, I was looking back and I'll be like, well, you know, if I hadn't thought about it at the time, would have been like, well, you just playing all the hits, man. I want to hear the deep cuts, you know. So, but still, being in the moment and everything, it was fantastic. So yeah.
I mean, I feel like he could have played a little less off the new. I mean, again, the ones I didn't care so much for, you know, and still Love Can Heal or whatever, you know.
Well, that's just I was going to say. So you got then more songs from the new record. The new.
We got 11. Like I said, I've got everything except So Much. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So much. Wow, you really did go to everything.
So much.
Okay, well. So I mean, yeah. So I mean, it had to be the case then, simply that things like This Is Home and Still and Live and Let Live, either weren't born yet, weren't even concealed. Well, they probably were concealed, most likely, but they weren't even born yet. Conceived, but they weren't even. Either they were born and they were still developing, and they were just too early, you see, before they could start walking and talking. I suppose in there, they were still very much in
that too. Like, because obviously the song was done, the album was all done and everything. But I wonder if they hadn't rehearsed it as much, or they didn't have it planned out, or you know how much along the way. I mean, you see that with Phil, especially with the But Seriously tour, with just how the set list would change over time depending on which continent he was on and stuff, you know.
Yep.
It's amazing how much work people can do. Well, I mean, Roxette did that too where they recorded albums on the road and stuff. How much stuff you can get done while touring.
Well, didn't you say when you saw him in September, right, Peter?
October.
October, right? Which is exactly the month when This Is Home was released.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was right after This Is Home came out.
Right.
I guess on the following week, I think it was.
Right. So This Is Home was very, very fresh then. Very fresh. My God. I mean, I'm curious to know if they were even playing it before, like in September, if they had already started playing This Is Home.
Or you can check Setlist FM has everything.
That would be very curious to see. Yeah. Yeah. Overall, thumbs up all around. Great to have this album, and can't stop listening. I'm always happy to listen to it too. It's not one of these albums where
you say it's up there? You'd say it's up there, the album?
Yeah, massively up there. I think because it's just more varied and has more, what's the word? Diversity and dynamics in this as compared to, say, the album Up, which is a great album, just a bit overproduced. And the overall vibe is, you know, you got to be in a certain state to listen to that album. That's for sure. So it's not the sort of album you want to put on whilst taking a romantic bath with your loved one. That's for sure. So, for example, but this album you could, in a way, I suppose. Certain songs in this album, Road to Joy, you know, Love Can Heal. So this sort of thing.
So the good news is he says he's going to do more. He has more.
Well, this is interesting because you said this is the thing I was going to echo back on. That's right. You said that he started working on this album in '95. Right? Is that right? Did you say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2001. No, sorry. So 2002, the album got released. I remember then. Obviously, he was doing the rounds with this. He was all over the place promoting this album. I saw him perform on Jules Holland, and on Jules Holland was being interviewed, and he says, and I quote, maybe not directly, but I have enough songs on me to do another album. That's what he said.
Yeah.
And I thought, brilliant. So maybe within a year or two, we're going to get a new album.
And that was the plan.
That was the plan, right? Was the plan. And then, yeah, I mean,
fair enough.
He got busy with other stuff too. So
before Up, he says he apparently has about 130 songs, and he picked 10 of those to put on Up, and then there's going to be lots more. I got to imagine he might have these songs, but they're not all like all the lyrics. They're not finished songs in any way.
Yeah. Well, I do like.
Anyway, he says he's going to do another album. I don't know if he's going to spend 10 years.
It's like another 21 years or whatever.
I know. We'll have to see what happens, but it sounded like he wanted to do more touring and stuff, and we'll see what happens.
I mean, fair enough if he decides to do that, but even I have to say to this, like, okay, it's cool, Peter, but just wait a bit. Don't. I know that Tabletop joked about saying, like, you know, he could release a new album every month now, but I think this new album is still very much there and everything, and it's still percolating, it's still doing the rounds. Let us still do the impact of that. It's just now curious to see what his next plans are, what his next moves are going to be, musically speaking. Anyway, so I know he's doing something else with the artists, the artwork behind this and everything. He's got a project going on with them as well. So, but musically speaking, I'm very curious to know what's next in store for him.
Yeah. So let's jump to the drum bit.
Let's jump to the drum bit. Yeah. All right. So, well, this shouldn't take too long. And plus, it's actually it's going to reflect upon the last song that we talked about. So I was very happy. I was very surprised and very happy to hear when I first heard the Live and Live song. Excuse me. I could hear these brushes happening, and so and I was thinking of what song is it? Again, going back to the Up song. What is the song? Oh my dear Lord, I cannot remember the title of the song. It's the track number 4 on Up that takes place after Sky Blue.
Look it up.
Oh my goodness, this is so terrible. Normally I'm fantastic with albums. No
Way Out?
No Way Out. The song starts off with these brushes, right? Now, if you remember from I think it was the last episode, or the previous to last episode, our Danceable Part 1 episode, I talked about Phil Collins playing brushes, and that brushes are these like metal wires that are short, but they get stuck into these rubber sticks, you see, and generally are used in jazz music. You see, as brush sounds. Yep. You can easily recreate that with brushes yourself. So. And that song, No Way Out, and the beginning of this song, Live and Let Live, is also there too. And I found out with Peter Gabriel that when he talked about this song, that actually it's Steve Gadd who is featured on that, on the brushes. Now, for those of you who do not know who Steve Gadd is, he is a god, especially with the drumming world. He's been around forever. He's been around for 50 years as well, this guy. And he's the guy as regarded as the groove god. He's a guy who can just groove, okay? Technically, he's not that technical drummer like Mano Katché or something like that, you know. A bit like with Jed Lynch, though, but he can just groove and create a uniqueness in the groove as well. You know, not like he recreates the traditional drum parts. He just has a feel. And you just think, my God, what is your medicine? I want it. And so he is featured on this song, Love Can Heal. And what's very interesting about it is because, and this is the beauty with Peter, that the time that is taken for him to actually
Live and Let Live.
Sorry, Live and Let Live. Sorry. Jeez. That he was mentioning with the song that actually Steve Gadd's drumming on this actually they've actually grabbed it from a previous recording that Steve Gadd did many years back. I think Peter even, I probably remember this. I think Peter even mentioned about this, that this happened in the 90s. Or if anything, this happened.
I don't think it was that early, but it was like early. It was like
the early noughties,
2010 or no, 2010 or something like that.
Oh, okay,
but
right,
a while ago, like 10 years,
quite a while ago, yeah.
I think it was, yeah.
And I can only presume that on the song "No Way Out" on the Up album, that is also Steve Gadd on the brushes, because he is on the album. He is on the album. He is on the album very much. A few times he's mentioned. And
I think they said it was some stuff he just recorded, and they actually never ended up using it.
Yes, exactly. And this is the point I'm coming to with the drumming part. So because I'm listening to that, and so we're going to now getting a little bit technical here of how the drumming side works. But again, if you listen to our last episode, you should already have a little bit of education behind it. So we're going to see if you've done your homework. So with the drumming pattern, generally you've got a 1, 2, 3, 4. And with the drums, you've got your bass drum, which is your heartbeat. You got the snare drum, which is your slap, and between the bass and the snare, that's what you hear that you can help you dance to and create a rhythm out of it. Boom, ba, boom, ba. And if you want to put that into terms of numbers of how to count that, then your bass drum would be on beat 1, snare drum on beat 2, bass drum on beat 3, snare drum on beat 4, bass, snare, 1, 2, 3, 4. Steve Gadd, he's playing and he's throwing a lot more notes in between the 1, 2, 3, 4. But if I first of all listen to it, you know, it sounds like he's just going like a 1 and 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4. You can hear that there's a certain slap of that brush which is louder than everything else. And that is he's playing on the 1 and 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 1 and 2 and the 3 and the 4. However, where he is doing that in the song, he's actually not doing it on the 2 and the 4. He's actually doing it on beats 1 and 3. So he's actually going like, and this got me thinking. I was like, that's really interesting. I wonder if purposely he did that, or he did come in and he did throw these brushes down, this 1, 2, 3, 4, on the traditional way, and then when they listened back to it and they wanted to reuse it, recycle this, I wouldn't be surprised, maybe not, it wasn't the case, but I wouldn't be surprised if then either Peter or one of the producers said, hey, why don't we just stick him on beats 1 and 3 just to sound a little bit different, just to sound Peter Gabriel style, you see, at the beginning of the song. And that is the wonderful Steve Gadd featured in that song, you see. And so that
I
is
almost
actually,
feel like though they would, because Peter did the video on it and talked about it. I almost feel like he would have mentioned that though, or maybe not.
I think he would have been too, I think it would have gone too complicated for people to kind of comprehend. You know, you need people like,
but he's a drummer, so he knows.
Well, he's a drummer, he knows that, and that's more the reason why maybe it was him who suggested this, saying like, why don't we stick Steve's rhythm that? But again, it's 50-50 chance that maybe Steve did actually record it like that, where he's actually playing the impact on the 1 and the 3 instead. Which songs,
that's
there
what
are
I'm
many songs
feeling
that exist.
in my mind. That's how I feel it is.
That you think it did on purpose, well, not on purpose, but you think it was originally recorded like
intentionally, that. And
it was intentional,
And another song that's coming to me with brushes all of a sudden is Phil's "Sons of Our Fathers."
Yes, and that's the traditional. Another father to son song, you know. So which he also has a song called "Father to Son" from, but seriously, and we're sons of our fathers. So these men have a nice relation with their dad, don't they? But then again, I don't know. And plus, Phil's got a song called "All My Life" about his dad too. So.
Okay, you're tangenting here.
I know. Anyway, so apologies if this feels a bit of a short one, but that's my
that makes sense.
for today.
Cool. That was an interesting little introspective, and it's the unusual part of the album because then Manu Katché comes in later with the drum beat too, and the things are done. Yeah, cool.
As Peter says, it takes courage, you know, to do something like that. You say
he definitely took courage with this album and doing very different things all over, and I think it's all the better for it.
So, as Peter says, there is so much more for him to give. So we look forward to seeing what that is. We'll just be playing for time. We'll ride on our 4 kinds of horses and continue this road to joy as we live and let live, and still we wait
for that olive tree.
For the olive tree.
I mean, it's all input output, right? It's all IO. Right. So that does this episode. Our plan for the next one is we're going to talk about the BBC sessions on the 1-year anniversary. Is the plan, at least sometime in March, of when they came out.
Yes, we are, and we're going to be back to Genesis, and very old school Genesis too. Well, actually, that's not true. It's old school, new school, and more school, later school. Anyway,
and later school, all schools.
Later school, all schools of Genesis. Yes, the BBC.
Elementary, middle, high school, all of it, even some college.
The BBC broadcast that was released. Yeah, we'll go all about that. I can't wait for that. It's amazing. I love listening to it. Meanwhile, thank you everybody for tuning in.
Yes.
Thank you for sticking with us. We know it's been a while since we've had regular episodes, but we're gonna, now that I'm kind of settled in here, we can help get that going again and release these on a more regular monthly basis. Meanwhile, it's good night from me.
And good night from Virgil.
Yes. Take care. We'll see you all soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Me and Virgil chop some wood, but we stop our swinging just to listen to a cry.
Thank you for listening to Me and Virgil, a Genesis Brothers podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you can get new episodes as soon as they're released. Feel free to rate and review wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to mention us to your Genesis friends so you can agree or disagree with what we talked about on the show. Me and Virgil, a Genesis Brothers podcast, is edited by Dan Talander and produced and hosted by Dan Talander, aka me, and Alex C. Talander, aka Virgil. If you'd like to reach us to let us know what you thought about this episode, or if you wanted to correct something we were very wrong about, you can reach us at meandvirgilpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Looking for someone.
You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok under the handle Me and Virgil Pod for announcements and info about the show, as well as anything else we think you'd be interested in related to all things Genesis. For now, thanks again for listening. We really appreciate it, and see you on the next episode of Me and Virgil, a Genesis Brothers podcast.
Well, me and Virgil, we beat the desert, we're riding fast and riding hard. We hit the city, the past behind us, so we raced some hell, we had some fun. And to this day, I can hear my saying to me, you're a big boy now.
And he's on the album even up for a little bit
Hang
as
on a
well.
second, your camera stopped.
My camera stopped. Your
mine
camera
has
stopped
too.
to be the very next full moon release. I thought, oh, okay, so he's kind of keeping.
Oh
the-
crap! I never started
is-
recording.
Oh
I
no!
paused it and then stop it.
Oh, this is gonna be a good blooper. Blooper.
Yeah.
Plus, now I have to find a plug for my laptop because the battery is running out. So, all right, okay. Well.
You got lots of lights behind you, don't you? Yeah, your
Right.
butt's on fire.
My butt's on fire.
Another outtake.
Yeah,
In this,
hold
like,
on.
that's probably my favorite part.
Your camera's frozen again.
Oh, it is frozen.
Then that makes more sense as why a computer might be tired. Hmm.
It's
There's-
not a living thing. All right, let me just try
I know.
restarting that.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
starting. I'm starting. Don't start at the same time. The only thing is,
You're frozen.
Have I?
Yes. Hang up and reconnect. Keep that thought. Hold that thought.
Kiss that frog and keep that thought. Right. I can't remember what I was talking about now. Okay.
At the end.
Hold on a second. Yep, I'm gonna cut you. Okay.
Ow, that hurt. They probably would have announced the tour and everything came out.
Hold on.
But this one I was hearing and I love the chorus. I'm like, on episode 10 will be perfect.
Yeah.
There's the blooper.